Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
They got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict's live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case. Dahil mihi Anglican po, he's service Latino.
Literally not.
Is that correct?
Oh, for crumb's sake. I didn't ask you to interrupt me.
Good morning. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Alrighty. Good morning. Great to be here with you all. Super excited. All right. We might have a little bit of time to talk before court starts. I think it's got like 45 minutes or something. So that's all good. Got a fun little story to tell you in a minute. We'll let the summoning music play out. Let everyone arrive here first. All right, there we go. We're all assembled. Here we go. Whew. Good morning. Great to have you here. I've been had a little bit of a fun time. It's always a fun time here in the RA household.
Happy birthday! You look good.
We'll do that in just a bit, Judge Fleischer. Thank you. When you have a home that was built in 1915,
In front of the Walmart.
well, it's a ways from the Walmart, but it's built in 1915. It's a constant battle, right? It's a constant battle to keep the bugs out and the nature out, and then the cold or the warm in, depending on the season. And of course, water is always an issue. Top, bottom, it doesn't matter. It's coming from everywhere.
When are we going to break for
So,
lunch, Judge?
yesterday, I shared that we had some issues with our upstairs air conditioning. It was 90 degrees overnight. Not last night, but the night
There's
before.
nothing in the order that restrains you from talking to cats.
Talked to my cat this morning. Thank you. We called the AC guy, and for just like $212, he was able to fix it. Our thermostat somehow got rewired wrong. I don't know how this happens, but he had to rewire our thermostat because it was wired backwards. And he had to change out a capacitor. I like to think it's a flux capacitor, but it's a capacitor in the AC. And he's like, now you're good as gold. It'll be a bit for it to catch up because it's like hot as blazes upstairs, so just let it run. So we're like, all right, it's hot as blazes. We're going to let this thing go and just cool it down upstairs. We're like, all right, good, wonderful. It's all great. Let it go for a few hours. I went upstairs with my trusty laser thermometer, which I'm not supposed to like shoot it at my head, but it works. Okay? It's got a little laser thing. Who sent me this, by the way? Thank you. This has been like one of my favorite tools ever. Apparently I'm 92.8. That might be a problem as well. But I went upstairs with this, and about halfway up the stairs, I encountered the heat wave, the layer of heat. I'm like, shouldn't be this warm up there. So go up to the vent, right? The vent that's blowing the cold air out from the upstairs AC. And I just shoot this at it, pull the trigger and shoot it at it. And it reads 112 is the air that's coming out of our AC. 112. This is inside, mind you. It is hotter in my house than anywhere else in the state of North Carolina. How do you do that? How do you fix an AC to make things hotter? So guess who's coming back today? Same dude. Why do we call the same guy? I don't know. But it was so stinking hot. Candles were melting on the shelves without being lit. It was just like wax. Oh my goodness. And it's humid. You've got to add the humidity too. So what did I do? I'm like, all right, fine. I'm going downstairs and I'm painting the bathroom. So I got the bathroom painted, primed last night. We went and got the primer, primed the entire thing. We're going to paint it today. Then I'm going to install flooring tomorrow. And probably the toilet tomorrow too. So that's like when it becomes the bathroom. So yeah, I was sweating. It was hot. And I'm complaining, just for the record. I'm complaining. It was hotter than Florida. 112 degrees. We shut it off, and it cooled down. It cooled down to like 92, which was good. All right. Here's what I think we need to do. I'm not an HVAC guy, and maybe this will show about now. But last time our AC worked, which was last summer, we had the AC company come out, and they charged it up. Like, they filled it full of refrigerant. And, of course, they charged us, I think it was like $700. And I've done the math on that. I don't know how you can get that much refrigerant into a system that can't hold that much refrigerant, but that's what we paid. And it worked for like a week. But it was like the hottest week when we needed it, and we don't run it all the time. And I think there's a leak somewhere. I think there's a leak, and the refrigerant is just like going out into the world, or into our basement, our lungs, wherever it is it goes. And so I think what you need to do is drain any refrigerant that still happens to be in there, like suck it all out, pump it full of, I don't know, nitrogen, and pressurize it, and then go follow the lines and listen for leaks. Or a spray bottle, look for a leak. That seems like the reasonable thing to do. Anyway, I don't know what they're going to do. I have no clue. Does your AC still use Freon? No, it's only like, it's like an 8-year-old system. It shouldn't be on Freon. It's a train. Anyway, all right. I've complained enough for today. I can tell you right now, it is fairly cool in my office here. It is about 82 degrees, which I'm going to say is a win. And I did not get my jelly beans, Melissa. I need to go check. I have not been to the post office. Yeah, this is for our upstairs AC unit. The downstairs one works brilliantly. Cold air, it's 68 degrees coming out of the downstairs AC. It's beautiful. Chat not on screen. Chat on screen. Speaking of chats on screen, Camila Juliana Gonzalez. I'm not sure if you want me to say Juliana. Camila Juliana Gonzalez. Hope I got that right. I got all the first try. Congratulations, you're first in chat, Camila. That means that we're going to punish you. You were prompt. We're going to punish. You own the internet. Everything IP related worldwide, including my thermostat, is now your problem. If there's a problem, we'll be calling you, and you get to fix it. So that's going to be good. It's going to be good. And you really need to be on your A game for sure, because
Mike. What day is it, Mike? Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Hump day! Welcome to Wednesday. They were waiting outside the door. 2 thumbs down. 2 thumbs down. I went too high. It is hump day. We made it halfway through the work week. I know a lot of you were here late intentionally to miss that, but I got you. Anyway.
I don't like podiums, John.
It is terrible. We have podcast tonight. We have 2 things. We have Courtroom Confidential with Josh Ritter. We're going to be on talking about the case, this Raul case that we're on right now. Then tomorrow we have our podcast, the Not Relevant Podcast, with Thomas and myself. And it's gonna be great. So we've got something for you after work, both days. It's gonna be awesome.
Have them send someone with more experience.
Yeah, Josh Ritter. Josh Ritter's who we're gonna be with. Courtroom Confidential. Love that. That channel is amazing, and Josh is just a stellar dude. His whole team is amazing. Wife Kai, they're all great. What time tonight? 8:00 tonight. 8:00. I blew up your ears. I apologize. Just add your name to the class action lawsuit.
I was told counsel wanted
filed
to see
every
me
week.
inside back.
Let's see. All right, we have a couple of birthdays to celebrate now that we've blown out our voice here. Thank you very much, Josh, for assembling these for us as well. Birthdays look as follows. We've got Wheeler925. I love 925. Do you know 925 is a reference to silver purity? That's like jewelry grade silver. Did you know that? 925. 92.5% silver. Jenna and Marty Jane all celebrating their birthdays today. Let's see. Court has not started yet, so we've got some time here. Just one second.
I'm not going to argue about semantics here.
That's good. Okay. All right, so let's sing happy birthday, and then we've got to recognize a couple people. Let's see. Wheeler925, Jenna, and Marty Jane. Let's sing to them. First of all, everyone stand up, take a deep breath. Shoulders back, project your voice to the back of the room. Blend your voice with your neighbor. Warm up with me, if you will. La 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 la. Oh, that's good. That's really good. It's going to be fabulous. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Wheeler925, Jenna, and Marty Jane. Happy birthday to you. Probably the best version ever. We're in tune today. Wheeler925, Jenna, and Marty Jane. There are many, many wonderful days. Today is your special day. I realize there are a million places you could be, a million people you could have celebrated with, but you chose to be here with us. Privilege, pleasure, the honor, the joy is ours. Hopefully we can return that joy back to you, make your day a little more specialer. Begin by helping yourself to free pancakes at Denny's, IHOP, Village Inn, Waffle House, McDonald's, Tammy Dunlap's house, Andy's Grill, and Bob Evans. Dancers are doing the high kicks. They are just for you as well. They've been prepping all night. Get it crafted. Thank you. Welcome. Boom, 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 boom. Birthday round of golf with RA on the Bluetooth, says Wheeler925. Awesome. You need a hole-in-one for your birthday. I tried to do it on a par 3. Par 5 is just like superhuman. Par 3 is where you want it. All right, we're going to finish this birthday celebration off. Not that the party ends, but we're going to finish this song with a drum solo. It comes up here. Yeah, here we go. So everyone grab your air drum sticks, sit down to your air drum set, and let's play this out in style. All right. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, y'all. Let's see. We've got a couple people to recognize here. Just right off the bat. Surprise, surprise. Kelly H. gives it a membership. Kelly, thank you so much. I love that I can see your name on the list every day. You are so generous in doing that. Thank you for starting the live stream like that. And Raina came in with 10 more memberships. Raina, thank you. Thank you for the kind words about the channel as well. I saw that you were saying that you love the channel so much. Well, you put your money where your mouth is and gifted 10 memberships. That is just awesome. Thank you. All right, couple things. I've already complained. Did I like your new dance moves? I thought they were great. If you could teach them to the whole team, CW, for tomorrow's, that would be wonderful. And get on the practices, please. Let's see. There are a couple things. Why do I have keys? I'm not going anywhere. Why do I have a pocket full of keys? I'm going to the post office. That's why it was. All right, Ohio Mama, glad to have you back as well. A couple things I want to talk about, and because we have a few minutes before court actually starts today, which I think starts in about half an hour, so we've got a few minutes. I want to talk to you a bit about this case and the charges we have. First of all, murder and assault. One murder charge and 3 assault charges, all very serious. But all these charges and a handful of other ones that exist in the state but aren't included in this trial have a defense to them, meaning that you can say, yes, I did it, but it was self-defense, and then it makes it justified if it was self-defense. There's a couple things that come into play to make this justified. First of all, in Connecticut, and just this is just like, it's like a New England thing for the most part. Okay, but in Connecticut and all the surrounding states and in that area, there generally on the law books is not a law called stand your ground. Stand your ground is a law that it's shaped in different ways in different states, and you have to sort of this is not legal advice. First of all, don't follow my advice in self-defense based on what I'm saying. I'm giving this generally to you for your information. I would definitely recommend you consult a lawyer in your area that's familiar with this area of law before you take any action in this area. And that's the lawyers make me say that. But stand your ground, generally speaking, is the principle that when you are attacked, you do not have to run. You can literally stand where you are and defend yourself up to and including the use of deadly force if the situation is right. In Connecticut, they don't have that law. They literally have the reverse, which requires you to retreat when possible, to try to escape, to try to run, to try to avoid the confrontation. But if you're not able to, and the conditions are right, meaning that your use of force is reasonable, and there's a reasonable expectation of serious bodily harm, grievous bodily harm, or sometimes this can apply to a loved one as well, so in the defense of others, then you're allowed to use deadly force. Okay, this could be a gun, this could be a knife, this could be a weapon, a blunt object, something that could kill someone. You'd be allowed to do that if the situations are right. The problem is a lot of the was the situation right question is decided after the fact in court. So it's risky. But let me read you just a couple things here. With no stand your ground law, you are required to retreat when possible. This is going to be a problem for Raul Valle, or Valle, I'm not sure how he says it, because he seems to have sort of pursued it, right? There's an idea that you have to pursue. Now legally, the stand your ground or duty to retreat, there's also an aspect of the law that's included in here that has to do with if it's your own home, there's generally more protection for you than if you're just somewhere in public. But if you're somewhere where you're allowed to be, that's when the situation can apply, that if you try to retreat or you're unable to or your life's threatened, then you can use deadly force. But you have to be allowed to be there, first of all. We have to decide if he was allowed to be there. Hey guys, here's the address, pull up. Was that allowed to be there? The jury has to make this decision. It's going to be crazy. But let me tell you a little bit, just for your information. There are 38 states that have stand your ground laws. They go like this. The list looks like this. And this is either stand your ground laws, either through statutes or through judicial precedent, where the laws basically, when you go to court, there's case law that supports standing your ground. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nevada, New Hampshire, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio. I said Ohio already, right? Ohio. I didn't say Ohio twice. Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming. All those states have some version of stand your ground. And it differs from state to state, so please do your research. But there are also states that have some other protections, like California, Colorado, Illinois, New Mexico, Oregon, Vermont, and Virginia, and Washington as well, have adopted stand your ground principles through case law, where it's been the courts have decided, and there's like precedents for that. So most of the states in the United States have some reason. Yes, Florida is definitely a stand your ground state. Most of the states have some version of stand your ground, but literally you can cross a state line, and your duty in an altercation changes. Like if I'm on vacation, I'm just driving through Connecticut, in North Carolina, somebody comes up to attack, I can stand right where I am and drop them, say, hey, look, I hope you made your peace because you're about to meet him. That's what's allowed here. And sometimes they have similar laws that have to do with castle doctrine, which is where you're allowed to defend your home or sometimes your vehicle or your campground as well, as if it was your house as well. So anyway, just be aware of the law. Realize that the law in this case that the jury's deciding is based on the Connecticut law. So if you're in a state that has stand your ground, and you might come to the realization that, or come to the conclusion that Raul was being attacked, that he was struck first, that he was just goofing off and pulling his shirt over his head and saying, hey, my name is Inigo Montoya, or whatever it was he was saying. And then somebody, assaulted him by yanking his shirt off his head, and then somebody punched him, and he felt threatened for his life. I can see a jury coming to that conclusion. But they have to then understand, they have to come to the conclusion that the deadly force he used in Connecticut, was it reasonable? Was it a reasonable amount of deadly force? That's going to be a tough hurdle. And was he threatened? Did he have the right to be there? All these other questions have to be answered. So he's it's a tough one. First of all, one person, possible. 4 people, oh, eek, ouch. Yeah. All right. I've missed chat here a little bit, so let me look over. Makes me rethink the ballerina trial. Welcome to the federal system of states. Yes, this is something that is that might be a little foreign to people who are not familiar with the United States and how it operates. But every state in the United States is like its own little country in some ways, and in other ways, it's a very much part of a bigger country of others, a collection of other states. There are some laws that, if I get a driver's license in California, I can drive my car all over the United States. I don't need a driver's license in every state that I drive to. But there are some like pocket knives that I can buy in Wyoming, and I will be arrested if I have it on my person in California. I've got lockpicks that I can buy and sell in Utah or North Carolina. But if I have them on my possession in Tennessee, I'm a felon. All these laws come into play. So thank you, Crunchy Frog. I like this one as well. I put it on because it's cool. It feels cool. I want to move somewhere with a sit your ground law, like a life of leisure. I think that's Alaska. Alaska's a sit your ground state. I thought Florida was just anything goes. We get that impression because we get so much news out of Florida with just crazy things that happen. But actually, Florida's it's pretty friendly to those who want to defend themselves, both in the means they're allowed to use, where they're allowed to carry that, and what situations apply. Now, hopefully this never happens to you, right? Hopefully you never have to use a weapon, specifically a firearm, in self-defense. Hope that situation just never comes up for you. But just know that if ever it does, you can expect in almost any state, including ones that have stand your ground laws, to be arrested and have your gun taken from you and go to the police station at a bare minimum, just while they're figuring out what happened. That's normal. Unless it's so clear, cut and dry, that, say for a state that has stand your ground, castle doctrine, that basically you can defend your house, and in some states you can shoot somebody who's trying to get in your house. As long as they have a weapon, or you feel they have a weapon, you can shoot them through the door. And the cops will do nothing other than pat you on the shoulder and say, good aim. It's crazy, but know your laws. Know your laws. Anyway, Florida's the Wild West. Let's see. Yeah, the Mew trial, the Apple River murder trial. That was a stand your ground state. Remember how that turned out? Yeah. That's the reasonable force part. The people who decide if it's reasonable force are not you. You basically have to make a decision based on how 12 other people who are not you would decide if that was reasonable force. Just be careful. All right, let's see. It looks like Bry Bear, good morning. 14 months on the jury. Bry Bear, thank you very much. Congratulations for your amazing milestone and incredible support of the channel. All right, I live in Orlando, and it's definitely the Wild West, says Jen Rodriguez. Let's see. I think Snow Planet Man was sentenced yesterday. I don't know what the outcome was. There have been a couple sentencings that I've missed. We followed the case. Yeah, it helps to study your laws. I mean, it's probably the most boring reading ever. But what you might want to do is just most states have their laws, their current code online, and you can peruse it in with the chapter headings and topical guide type things. You want to read everything that sort of interests you. You're like, that sort of, I do that. If you have questions about fishing, you might want to read the rules about fishing. If you have questions about whether or not you're allowed to play pickleball in the park at night, look in the Parks and Recreation rules and regulations. Know your rules, and then stand up for your rights. Okay. I just keep Alan Jackson on retainer. Wow, did he come out with a smoking hot statement the other day? Come out and socked Brennan right in the mouth with his remarks. Basically said, Brennan, that's not cool. That's not cool. All right. They make it hard to understand in the loop-de-loop holes. That I agree. The law is very difficult. And there are usually many different laws that come into play. It's hard to find one that's just clear cut. This, yes, you can do that. No, you can't when it comes to self-defense. Minnesota has strict gun laws. I don't even think you can use one if your car is getting jacked. You kind of just have to give them the car, says Magistrate. That's terrible. That's terrible. Here, have a car. Oh, man. Okay. Let's see where we are in the case. I think we've got... we got a little bit of time before court starts again this morning. See, I don't know what time they normally start because we were catching up. Let's see. Hold, please. Nothing yet. I think what made the Apple River trial end up the way he did was because he was an adult, left the scene, and initially tried to hide. Squidward, look at the similarities in between that case and this one. Obviously, not an adult. We've got a bunch of juveniles, so they're peers. But leaving the scene, hiding the knife, they still don't have the knife. Like, he has not found the knife. I don't know. I think he probably gave some information about where the knife might be, or they received some information, but they weren't able to find it. They went out with metal detectors and everything. Good morning, Tony. Good to have you here. I'm crocheting little emotional support tacos keychains if anyone feels they not wants one. Doctor on call, thank you. Emotional support tacos. Those sound delicious. Does anyone know if Raul did confess to these statements or not? I'm so confused. I don't know if he ever confessed. I know he turned himself in, and the language his lawyer is using in this trial is, you can't tell me why my client did what he did, which basically is saying my client did what he's accused of. That's the flag to me that says we're going with the self-defense claim, that we're going to say that yes, I did it, but there's a valid reason that justifies what I did. Does it matter that he had time to leave the fight and get the knife and then return to the fight? Yes, Special K. But we don't know that that's what's happened. We don't know. Realize everybody, we're hearing the same story being described from like 20 different angles, right? This fight, every person, where they stood, what they saw, people saw different things just from their perspective being different. One guy swears he saw Raul grab his helmet off his head and swing it and hit the guy in the head with it. The other guy said, no, it was a diving headbutt. He like dove and hit him with his head. It's just where they were standing and what they saw is different. And we're trying to piece together the actual happenings based on everyone's viewpoint. We don't know exactly what happened with Raul. We know that he's at one point out by the car and the dome light comes on, right? But that's very brief. We were told by 2 witnesses yesterday that when he runs out to the car, already all the stabbings had happened. Everyone had already been stabbed, which means he wasn't running out to get the knife then and coming back to the fight. He might have just had the knife with him, like matches another testimony that while he was down the street with the girl sitting next to him, that he had a knife in his hand. And the guy thought, I'm not going to make a big deal of it, not going to draw attention to it, but I'm just going to walk away and let things play out. Terrible decision. All right. Lawyer Lee is driving to cover the Crystal Rogers trial. Wow. That's awesome. Yesterday, one of the witnesses said he had a knife earlier. Yes. Was it in video that he later then went to the car to retrieve it again? We know he went to the car arena, but we don't know if it could have him been throwing the knife in the car at that point. And we don't know if he ever rejoined the fight. We need to hear more accounts, and I sort of want to hear from the defendant. I realize we don't have to, but if it's a self-defense case, I think we might get to hear from him and hear his version of the stories and see how it matches up and how it's different. Because I think this case still could go 6 different ways with all the evidence that we're waiting for. Okay. Just checking to make sure we're not missing anything here. I guess they start late. Probably going to start here at 10 o'clock straight up is the idea. So. Okay. Okay, we'll get it. The kid that was stabbed and didn't know was wild, all for alleged McDonald's. Poor kid. Yeah. You got McDonald's? Nope. Who the heck is Ayden King? We've heard so many names. 30, 40 people were at this location. Like half the school was there. Myron says, I understand, great point, but he brought the knife and now someone is dead, period, with other multiple stabbings. Okay. Yes. But and I haven't looked into this, but I think that's a valid point. Let me see if we have a rule in Connecticut particularly. See, in Connecticut, individuals can generally own any type of knife. However, restrictions exist on carrying knives, particularly concerning blade length and type, and whether they're carried openly or concealed. There are no specific age restrictions for owning knives, but carrying certain types of knives, especially those considered deadly weapons, is restricted for those under 21 years of age. So the general restrictions are Connecticut law prohibits carrying dangerous weapons, which includes certain knives in public or in a vehicle. A dangerous weapon includes dirk knives, switchblades, stilettos, automatic knives with blades longer than 1.5 inches, and any knife with a blade longer than 4 inches, according to the Connecticut General Assembly. So he had a 3-inch blade. If it was not a dirk, switchblade, stiletto, or automatic knife, it may have been a legal knife for him to carry. It would not be classified as a dangerous weapon, and thus it might have been legal. So basically, it would have been legal for him to have the knife, depending on the style. And maybe this is why the knife hasn't been found. Because the knife gets found, then we know for sure if it's an illegal type of knife or if it's not. We know he already had the knife on his person because he was holding it when he was sitting on the side of the street talking to his girlfriend down the road from this fight before it happened. We just don't know if it went back in the car or not. There's only one thing I need to see in this case, and that is the umbilical Velcro doors. Okay, I believe they're called Belco doors, which is funny because in the Karen Reed case, the case number 1, trial number 1, the back doors to the Albert home are the same type of door. It's like doors fold open and stairs go down. I think that's what they're talking about. I thought you said a knife more than 1.5 inches was illegal under 18. Mrs. Gerns, if it's a certain type of knife, if it's a stiletto, switchblade, automatic knife, or dirk knife. What's a dirk knife? Is that what I have right here? I think this might be a dirk knife. I think this one's a dirk knife. And it's longer than 3 inches. So this would be illegal in Connecticut. This is double-edged, razor sharp on both sides. Actually, it's only single-edged. I'm wrong. But it's razor sharp on one side. Is this a dirk knife? It sounds Scottish, right? We're going to learn a lot about knives in the Idaho trial. We will. Bilko Basin doors, yes. A hawk-billed knife should be illegal too. I'm not sure what the hawk-billed knife is. A Scottish knife is a dirk. But is it the sock? Is it the one that goes in the sock like this? That just tucks in your... Ouch. Just poke myself. Is it the kind that goes in your sock with the little clan crest on it? Or is it the big one that goes on your belt? I wish there were opening statements in this trial. Jennifer, that's another weird thing. Connecticut doesn't do opening statements. They just go straight to the evidence. I sort of like it. From a defense standpoint, you don't get somebody telling you what you should think before they hear any evidence. I think we're getting ready to go to court.
Audio's good?
Audio's great. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay. Let's see here. All right, just 1 second. Let's get my audio switched to the right source.
Raul Valle was back in court.
Yeah, not that one. Trying to find... Okay. There we go. All right, and this guy is going to be safety 1. Okay, court should start in just a moment, like 3 minutes possibly. I do remember this is day 5. We're on day 5 here. I think I called it part 5. Yeah, part 5 because we watch it sort of differently, not one days. All right, I think he will testify. I think he sort of has to. A dirk is longer than a knife, but shorter than a sword. Okay, so I used a dirk to cut my wedding cake. It was about, I'd say about 14 inches long, the dirk that I used. It's the one that's worn on the waist. What's the one that's in the sock called? Do they get closing arguments? I believe they do. Off topic, but will you and Mrs. R.A. be at CrimeCon? No, but I do want to go someday. I think it would be a great place for a meet and greet. Other than one thing, it is freaking expensive. I mean, it's like really expensive, and I'm not knocking it. They do a great job. The crowds they bring, the guests they bring, the speakers, the whole venue. It costs a lot. I would like my meet and greet to be something where, you know, if you can afford some money in the gas tank, you can get there and go. I'd like it to be a little on the cheaper side. Like $4,000 expensive, and it's freaking crowded. I'd like to go. I really would like to go. I've applied many times to be a creator that, you know, sort of gets a discount going there, and they told me no. Apparently I'm not. So a skin do? It's a skin do? It's a skin do. Okay. So the knife, I've got 2 of those. 2 skin do's. Thank you, Sloth Life. Find out if you could be a speaker there, maybe about setting up the tech. The first thing I did was look at it to say, could I live stream from CrimeCon? And the answer is no. They don't want anything going out live because then people wouldn't go there in person. So, a skibbity what? Says Lindsay. It's a skin do. That's the name of the knife. All right, we are going to be on with Courtroom Confidential tonight at 8 p.m. Please join us. We're going to talk about this very case and maybe something else, you know, some of the other stuff that's going on. I know Brian Koberger has had a hearing recently. I think we're waiting on a ruling in that one. Corey Richards is coming up. We've got the date for her for next year. So, yeah, good stuff. All these knives and you're scared of cockroaches. The problem is the cockroaches are not scared of knives. Karen Murray says, hi from Ireland. What's the feeling on this case? What happens at CrimeCon stays at CrimeCon. Karen, I would say on this case...
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. You may be seated. Thank you. Morning.
It's still up in the air. We're still early in the evidence.
All right, so we're back here today again to resume evidence in the matter of State of Connecticut versus Raul, Valle. Counsel, is there anything that needs to be addressed before we go ahead and bring our jury in this morning?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor. Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
All right, and we can have the witness retake the stand, Attorney Dursos. Thank you.
I would say for me, it seems like an uphill battle to prove this was self-defense.
Please come on up. Have a seat.
But
have a seat.
We'll see.
And sir, I do want to remind you that you do remain under the obligations of the oath that you took when you first entered the witness box, okay? Yep. Thank you. All right. Mr. Clerk, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to... just...
I've never seen his lawyer talk to him during the trial. They sit far apart. It's like they don't like each other.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Welcome back. We are ready to proceed. Looks like everyone's all set. Counsel, please stipulate to the return of our jurors.
Stipulate, Your Honor. Defense stipulates, Your Honor.
Very good. Attorney Durso, you may continue on with your direct examination of the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Ryan, I think yesterday when we left off, we were talking about the fight. Just prior to the fight starting, was the group chat still going on?
I can't recall. I don't know.
Do you know whether or not you had indicated that your phone was buzzing in your pocket?
Yeah.
Do you recall whether or not you said anything in the group chat?
I think I mentioned one time just calling them pussies, but that's it. That's all I said. I only said one thing.
Okay. And when you came out into the yard to confront the defendant and Mr. De Silva, were you closer to Mr. De Silva or the defendant?
The defendant.
And at any point in time during the night, do you recall fighting anybody other than the defendant?
No.
So when the fight, I think we played the video yesterday. Did we play the video yesterday? When the video is playing when it starts, is that the beginning of the actual fight, or do you, from what your recollection is, or did that, when did the fight, with regards to the video, when did the fight happen? Was it?
That video is probably 20 seconds into the fight.
Okay. And 20 seconds into the fight, you had already fought with the defendant at this point. And at some point in time, what are you doing after you, well, tell us again how you fought with the defendant.
So I kind of was just over top of the defendant, punched him in the face 2 times, and then I just felt a jab in my side, and I looked down and I see the defendant with his right hand clenched up in a ball like this, and he's just poking at my side.
Did you see any weapon on him?
No, I didn't see a weapon or anything. I just seen his fist and just going like this repeatedly over and over again, and just right there on my side.
And when that happened, after that happened, what did you do?
I just like some instinct in me just was like, get off, get away, like just like that. I don't know how to explain it.
And at some point in time, did you lose sight of the defendant?
Yes.
Did you see where he went?
No.
And did you see the defendant after that, before the fight ended? Did you see him after the fight ended?
No.
At some point in time, do you recall watching the fight with Mr. De Silva?
Yes.
And when you were watching that fight with Mr. De Silva, when did it become apparent to you that you were injured?
Like when I heard somebody scream out, "He's got a knife, he's got a knife."
So when you heard that,
yeah,
what triggered in your head?
I was just like, he's like, I just heard that and I was like, he's got a knife. Like, who's hurt? Like, is everybody okay? I didn't even realize I was hurt or anything. And then my buddy Ty Wood came up to me and was like, are you okay? Like, you're bleeding. And he pointed down at my side and I had bled through all my clothing.
And when you realized that you were bleeding, what did you do?
I like lifted up my shirt and I wanted to see like what was wrong with me. I didn't know what had happened. I didn't know how many times I had been stabbed or anything like that. And like right at the same time I'm realizing I had gotten stabbed, I hear all the bubbles and like my lung collapsing basically. And like bubbles in my chest. It was a really weird sound. I don't know how to describe it. I never want to hear that sound ever again. It kind of like, it like haunts me in a way, but I just got super scared and I didn't know what was going to happen.
Were you able to breathe?
Barely.
And when you realized that you were injured, what did you do next?
I went inside and I just wanted to sit down and get a glass of water. That's all I could think of was sit down, get a glass of water.
And did somebody bring you a glass of water?
Yes.
And do you recall who that was? Why don't you recall
it? I just was in such like a fog of like mentally, all I could think of was just like one breath at a time, pretty much.
At some point in time, did somebody come in the house to get you and bring you outside?
Yeah.
Do you recall who that was?
No.
And at some point in time, did you exit the house?
Yeah.
Why did you exit the house?
Because the ambulances were arriving.
And when the ambulances arrived, did somebody render aid to you?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did they do for you when you were on scene?
They just were asking me my injuries and what was wrong, and I just had to explain to the best I could what I felt.
And were you taken to the hospital?
Yes.
So I'm going to show you, we started doing this yesterday, so State's Exhibit 61. Remember seeing this picture yesterday?
Yeah.
This individual here on the left, you know who that is?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Ricky Fiola.
He's got the white shirt and the pink shorts on the left side of 61 there. Exhibit 62, do you know who this individual is?
That's the defendant.
Exhibit 63, I'm going to point this kid here to the left. He appears to be a green sweatshirt, black shorts with white trim. Who's that?
That's me.
This kid here with the white shirt and the black shorts next to you.
Who's Sal Perry?
The kid next to him with jeans on, with the no shirt on. Do you know who that is?
Alex.
Alex Bernston?
Yeah.
This guy here with the jeans on, the black shirt and the red hat. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, Michael Samperry.
And this guy here on his knees with what appears to be a shirt pulled up with jeans on. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, Jack DeSilva.
Who's that?
Tyler DeSilva, I mean.
64. This guy right here to the right with the white shirt, black shorts on. Do you know who that is?
That's Charlie.
Charlie who?
Connery.
Again, 65. Charlie Connery?
Yeah.
66. This guy right here with the white shirt, appears to be tan shorts next to you.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
That's Jake Villalobos, right?
This guy right here with the shirt off, with the camouflage pants on, with the shirt hanging out the back. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, that's Matt Lockovich.
And this individual right here with the navy blue shirt, white pants. Do you know who that is?
That's Jimmy McGrath.
67. This individual who appears to be pushing somebody to the picture. Do you know who that is?
Jake Villalobos.
And this individual here with the navy blue shirt, white pants.
Jimmy McGrath.
Exhibit 68, this individual with the jeans, appears to be a shirt still pulled up, but they're back to us. Do you know who that is?
Tyler DeSilva.
And this individual to his left, do you know who that is?
That's the defendant.
Finally, State 69, this individual appears to be near the curve in the street with the light blue jersey on. Do you know who that is?
That's DeSilva.
And this person here with the navy blue shirt on, white pants?
That's Jimmy.
Jimmy McGrath?
Yeah.
Jimmy's the one that died.
Now, at some point in time when paramedics came and rendered aid to you, do you recall whether or not you took your shirt off at the scene?
I think I did take my shirt off. I think I was using it to like cover up my stab wound.
I'll show you State's Exhibits 25, which is marked the full exhibit. These
new court reporter
items
today.
that you were wearing the night of May 14th of 2022.
Yes.
Appears the black shirt, does that appear to be inside out?
Yeah.
State's Exhibit 26. Is that the same shirt but right side in?
Yep.
And obviously the green sweatshirt, is that yours?
Yeah. I don't know whose shoes those are.
Those are not your shoes.
Those are not my shoes.
Exhibit 27, closer up picture of the shirt that you were wearing that night.
Mm-hmm.
Let me approach the witness, Your Honor.
You may.
That's the knife hole. The camera has to go up and over the jury to see the
You
pictures.
see this defect in the shirt here?
Yeah.
Is that about where your upper stab wound was?
Yes.
And obviously, is this the front of the t-shirt?
Yes.
And do you see this defect here?
Yes, I do.
Is that the right about where you received your first stab wound?
Yes.
Your upper chest?
Yep.
Exhibit 28. Closer up version of the t-shirt. Again, is this the defect in the shirt? Is this where one of the stab wounds was?
Yes.
Exhibit 29. Is this your sweatshirt with the defect in it from the stab wound?
Yes, it is.
Approach the quick draw.
Sorry.
Approach the witness, Your Honor.
Of course. Thank you.
Brian, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 83 for identification purposes. Do you recognize 83?
Yep.
And what is 83?
Me in the hospital.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you look like in the hospital the day after the incident?
Yes.
Showing you marked as State's Exhibit 84 for identification. You recognize State's 84?
Yes.
And what is State's 84?
Me with a wound to my head.
And does this accurately reflect the wound to your head on May 15th of 2022?
Yes, it does.
Start showing you State's 85. Do you recognize State's 85?
Yes.
And what is State's 85?
The tube that had to be put in my chest.
And does this accurately reflect what the tube looked like in your chest on May 15th of 2022?
Yes.
Showing you State's 86. Do you recognize 86?
Yes.
And what is State's 86?
The tube that was coming out of my chest, and then that's where I got stabbed.
And does this picture accurately reflect the upper wound area but covered on May 15th of 2022?
Yeah.
Showing you State's 87 for identification purposes. Do you recognize 87?
Yes.
And what is State's 87?
My stab wound to my upper chest.
And does this picture accurately reflect what the wound looked like maybe a day or two after the incident, uncovered by any gauze?
Yes.
Showing you State's 88 for identification purposes. Do you recognize State's 88?
Yes, I do.
And what is State's 88?
They are my stab wounds that I got to my lower hip.
And does this accurately reflect what they look like covered in the hospital the day after the incident?
Yes, it does.
Showing you State's 89 for identification purposes. Do you recognize State's 89?
Yes, I do.
And what is State's 89?
My stab wound to my side.
And does this picture accurately reflect what your wound looked like a few days after the incident?
Yes.
Showing you State's 90 for identification purposes. Do you recognize State's 90?
Yes.
And what is State's 90?
My other stab wound to my leg.
And does this picture accurately reflect what the area looked like covered, intended to in the hospital the day after the incident?
Yes, it does.
Showing you State's 91 for identification purposes. Do you
Some of these
recognize
are
State's 80?
cumulative.
Yes, I do.
And what is State's 81?
My stab to my lower, thigh.
Sorry, Council 91?
91.
That's okay. Thank you.
And does this accurately reflect what the wound looked like a day or two after the incident?
Yes.
Uncovered?
Yep.
And finally, showing you State's 92 for identification purposes. Do you recognize 92?
Yes, I do.
And what is 92?
That's about me 2 weeks after.
And does this accurately reflect what your wounds looked like a week or two after?
Yes, it does.
Now, is this picture taken reflecting in the mirror?
No.
So it's the right side, right?
Yeah.
Left side?
Yeah.
This is right. So was this taken in a mirror?
Yes.
Okay. Does this accurately reflect what you looked like when you were taking this picture of your wounds in a mirror?
Yeah.
I'll offer these as full exhibits at this time. No objection.
All right, with no objection, the court will go ahead and accept into evidence as full exhibit States 83 through 92. Thank you.
So 9 pictures we're going to be seeing here in just a minute after they get marked. Warning, these could be a little bit graphic. Okay, we already got demonetized for his second answer in court today. Oh, man. All right, we're going to go up and over the jury and take a look at these pictures, I think.
Brian, I want to show you States 83 that's now been marked as a full exhibit. Again, what is States 83?
Me in the hospital.
Now, these injuries to you, point out, it looks like you have injuries to your nose, and your face area, in your head. Were those injuries caused during the fight at 43 Laurel Glen?
No, those were at Lazy Brook.
So when you got into the initial fight at Lazy Brook with the defendant and his friends, that's when that happened?
Yeah.
That was the first fight where he got jumped.
States 84. This injury here to the top of your head, which looks like the left side of your head.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know when that injury occurred?
That's from Lazy Brook as well.
That's also from Lazy Brook, okay.
Could have been kicks.
States 85. Can you tell us where States 85 was from?
That's the tube that had to be put in my chest.
Do you know why the tube had to be put in your chest at the hospital?
To reinflate my lung.
Just to pump him up.
States 86. What are we looking at in States 86?
So the gauze is where I was stabbed, and then that is part of the tube that was also coming out of my chest.
Okay. And this obviously, this is the left side of your chest?
Yes, sir.
And that is where you got your injuries?
Yeah, on my left side.
States 87. Can you tell us what States 87 is?
That would be my stab wound to my upper chest.
And this is the stab wound that caused the collapsed lung?
Yes, it is.
States 88. Can you tell us what we're looking at in States 88?
That is my stab wound to my hip.
You're around here?
Yeah.
Right. And this is the tube?
Yeah, that's the same tube.
Okay. States 89. Is this the same wound but uncovered?
Yes.
And this is what, a few days after?
Yeah.
States 90. What are we looking at here? This is what?
That would be my stab wound to like my lower butt cheek, pretty much.
So like the hip area?
Yeah.
And again, this tube that's running down, where is that coming from?
That's the same tube that was in my chest.
91. Is this the same wound you just mentioned, but uncovered?
Yes, it is.
Ouch. The gluteus maximus
Showing your states,
significant
92.
damage.
So it appears to be the right side of your body, but are these injuries on the right side of your body?
No, they're on my left side.
So is this picture being taken in a mirror?
Yes.
Okay. So this would be your upper left chest area where the first stab wound was.
Mm-hmm.
Second stab wound to your lower abdomen area.
Yep.
And then your third stab wound would be on your left side of your hip.
Yes.
And when were these pictures taken, do you know?
A couple weeks after.
Now, after you were at the hospital, how long did you stay in the hospital for? Do you remember?
I was there for 2 nights and 3 days.
And do you recall what you were diagnosed with?
A collapsed lung. I believe I had a fracture in my nose, and some head trauma, and I don't remember everything else.
And what was the treatment that, aside from getting to the hospital and initially getting diagnosed, what treatment did you have to go through?
Well, I couldn't get stitches because they didn't want my wounds to get infected. So it was really cleaning them out multiple times a day, keeping fresh gauze on them at all times, and just a lot of rest.
And what has your recovery been like?
Physically, they healed up, but mentally, I've never been the same person.
Why is that?
I can't stop thinking about that night. Like every single day, multiple times a day, I just think about that night and things that I could have done different, things that anybody could have done different. And I just didn't think things like this happen in the world. I don't know. I didn't know there was people like that out there that really wanted to cause harm.
When you were at Laurel Glen that night and those individuals walked on the front lawn and the fight started, did you anticipate the fight being a fist fight?
Yes.
Did you anticipate there ever being any weapons used?
No.
Did you have any weapons at Lazy Brook that night with you? Did you have any weapons with you at Laurel Glen that night?
No.
Did Ty Wood have any weapons on him?
No.
Did anybody near you, did you recall anybody near you when you were face to face with the defendant having any weapons?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Here comes the cross.
Attorney Smith.
Thank you.
I think he's going to target the fact that he standing over and punched him in the face twice.
Morning, Mr. Hines. How's it going? We have never met before. Never talked about this case before. Let me go over with you some of your testimony that you've given here. You told us yesterday you thought you'd met with the state's attorney 3 or 4 times prior to this.
Yep.
To discuss your testimony here.
Yes.
You recall that?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Hines, I am going to ask you just to please keep your voice up, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
And
sir.
when
Ma'am.
you're answering, you just have to say either yes or no. The court reporter can't get a on the record, okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's review that evening. You told us that Griffin Marcinzik was a really good friend of yours since childhood, basically, right?
No. I moved to Shelton in the winter of when I was in 8th grade. So right about when COVID started, I moved to Shelton, but Griffin was one of the first kids I met, and I became very good friends with him.
Okay. So good friends since you moved to Shelton.
Yes.
You say that was in the 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time, May 14th, 2022, you told us that you were ending your sophomore year, so you would have been a rising junior.
Yes.
And you went over to a friend's house. Was that Natalia Ridzik's house?
Yes.
And you hung out there at Natalia's, right?
Yep.
You told us that you were doing some drinking there while you were hanging out.
Yes.
And that was, you had no more than 2 beers, right?
No more than 2 beers.
How do you know no more than 2?
Because I know it was no more than 2 beers.
What makes you so certain about that, no more than 2?
Because it was only 2 beers.
And that was only in 30 to 40 minutes of being there that you had those 2 beers?
Yes.
Power drinking that night?
I'm sorry?
Was that power drinking? Was that fast for you, or was that a fairly regular speed to have 2 beers in a 30 to 40 minute period?
That's pretty normal.
And then you told us that you got invited over to Austin Leifer's house, right?
Yes.
How did you know Austin?
I met him in 8th grade when I moved to Shelton.
Also when you moved to Shelton?
Yes.
Did Austin go to Shelton High School?
No, he didn't.
Was Austin on the basketball group text chat?
I don't recall.
And Tanner Chernowski drove you to Austin's house, right?
Yes.
How did Tanner Chernowski know to take you to Austin Leifer's house?
Me and Griffin asked him.
And who is Tanner Chernowski to you?
Another guy that I met when I first moved to Shelton and became a really good friend of mine. He happens to live not too far from me and hang out.
Did you play football with Tanner?
No.
You played football with Griffin?
Yes.
Did you play any sports with Tanner?
No.
He was a couple years older than you?
Yes.
Did Tanner Chernowski provide you with any of those beers that evening?
No.
And you said that he drove you over to 5 Lazy Brook, and that was somewhere between 7 or 8 o'clock, right?
Yes.
And that you got there to the house while it was still daylight, but by the time you left, you would agree it was no longer daylight, right?
It was like the evening time, yes.
Because we've seen the video of the fight outside of 5 Lazy Brook, and it appears to be pretty dark then. Are you saying that at that point there was still some daylight?
Yes, there was still some daylight.
And when you showed up, you heard music and noise, and you thought that was a party, so you walked into the garage, right?
Yes.
And at that point, you still only had the 2 beers?
Yes.
But you didn't make it into the house, is that fair to say?
Yes.
You just got into the garage?
Yeah.
And how many people were in the garage when you got in there?
I don't think anybody was in there.
Nobody in the garage?
No.
So as you're going from the garage to the door into the interior of the house, you see some people coming out of the house, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you came to learn that the party was being shut down or something of that nature, right?
Not really that. I just found out after the fact that the people that were coming out that I saw were happening to be getting kicked out at the time.
Okay. This wasn't your party, right?
No.
And so you saw some people coming out of the house, but you don't know why they were coming out of the house?
No.
In fact, some people thought you hadn't been invited to the party, right?
I'm not sure.
Well, you were confronted by some folks who said they didn't know what you were doing there, right?
Yeah, but the homeowner invited me and Griffin.
Well, not the homeowner, right? Austin doesn't own the home, does he, right? And in fact, Madigan was having the party, right?
I'm not sure.
Well, did you see a number of girls there that evening?
Yes.
You caught a ride with some of those girls at the end of the evening?
Yeah.
Did you know that they were all members of the lacrosse team from that school?
No.
Okay. And you never saw Austin that night, right?
No.
Because he was outside throwing up and ill from drinking, right?
Objection. How would you know?
Sustained. So hold on a
Objection. How
minute,
would he
Attorney
know?
Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury court's going to strike the the witness's response to that particular question, and I'm going to ask you to not consider the question, and you'll learn that questions are not evidence, okay? So the stricken response, not evidence, not to be considered. You'll hear more about stricken evidence at the end of the evidence, and the question obviously is not to be considered evidence either. Thank you.
You didn't see Austin that night, right?
No.
And these three folks that come out the door, you say that they confronted you about coming there, prevented you from going inside, right?
Yes.
And ultimately, you claim that they didn't care about that, right?
What do you mean?
Well, you said they didn't care that you told them that you had been invited.
Yes.
And Mr. Valle, you told us, didn't say anything to you, right?
No, he was speaking to Griffin.
It was Mr. Snyder who was having this interaction with you, right?
Yes.
And you saw him on that photo and identified him as wearing that red hoodie that evening, correct? And in fact, you say that Mr. Snyder asked you for a beer and you told him, yeah, sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gave him a beer.
Yes.
And you said that Mr. Valle asked you if he could have a beer and you said, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And you gave him a beer, right?
Just trying to be a peacemaker.
Okay. You gave both of them a beer that night, correct?
Yes.
Griffin Marcinzik was right there when that happened?
Yes.
Were you blocking his view so that he couldn't see you give the beers to these two people?
Griffin?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Do you recall where Griffin was?
I believe he was right next to me.
And that wasn't enough for Mr. Snyder, right? He decided he was going to grab those beers from you.
Yes.
Mr. Valle didn't grab the beers from you.
No.
Mr. De Silva, did you see him?
Yes.
He didn't say anything to you.
No.
He didn't grab the beers from you.
No.
Ultimately, Snyder grabs the beers from you. You said you were trying to be cool and make some friends.
Yes.
And at that point, you got upset with Snyder, right?
Yes.
He said you weren't going to stand for this, right?
Yes.
You were upset at that point, right?
I wasn't going to get pushed out and bullied.
Sure. You said, I'll fight you right now for this beer, right?
Yes, I did.
And you put your hands up to fight.
Yes.
And y'all make it out into the driveway from the garage, right? Mm-hmm. And we saw the video there.
Yes.
And in that video, we see you and Mr. Snyder squared up, right?
Yes.
And you're circling a little bit for position, right? It's a fight going on,
yeah.
Right? You're not just standing there toe to toe like we see some old school bare knuckles boxers, right? You're moving around, you're circling.
A little bit, yes.
You bump into Mr. Valle?
No.
No, you don't bump into Mr. Valle.
No, I do not bump into Mr. Valle.
Okay. Where was Mr. Valle?
He was hiding behind me.
Hiding behind you?
You could say that, yes.
Hiding behind what?
Me. Just he was behind me. I didn't know he was there.
He was just behind you,
yeah,
right? He wasn't hiding.
Sure.
You were aware he was there?
No.
You knew there was a circle of people around you watching, correct?
Yes.
And you were circling for position?
No.
No. You were just going to stand still and let Mr. Snyder come towards you?
I wouldn't really say it was circling, but it was more of just like a little like get a better position. You could say that, yeah.
Right. You're not just going to stand still and let somebody who you've just challenged to a fight just come at you and start throwing blows, right?
Well, in all honesty, that was my first fight ever that night. I never had been in a fight before that, so I very well could have been standing right there. I don't have a fighting background.
Okay. But you saw the video.
I'm a beer giver, not a fighter.
You were moving.
A little bit, yes.
Right. You weren't just standing there. And you told us that Mr. Valle comes out and he sucker punches you, right?
Yes.
He didn't tackle you?
No.
He didn't throw any more blows than that, correct?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
In fact, he moves away from you and gives more space after this interaction, right?
What interaction?
The interaction where you say he sucker punched you.
Yeah.
At that point, you come forward and you tackle Mr. Snyder, right?
Yes.
Get him down on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go off the screen, right? We can't see the rest of that as you guys are sort of behind a minivan. And at that point, people come in and they're trying to break it up, right?
No, not really.
No?
No.
Well, did you see Emily Robinson in that video coming in?
I don't know who that is.
Okay. Did you see any of the girls that were there coming in?
No.
Did you hear any of them?
No.
Fair to say your attention was focused on Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Valle, he had this helmet on, correct?
Yes.
And he had that helmet on the whole time, right?
No.
No, you believe he took that helmet off?
He did take that helmet off.
You believe he took that helmet off?
I see it in the video, yes.
In the video, you see him take the helmet off?
Yes.
And what does he do with it?
He smashes me in the back of the head with it.
And then what does he do with it?
Hits me again in the back of the head with it.
And then what does he do with it?
Not sure.
Does he put it back on?
I don't know.
So it's your testimony, sir, that he takes the helmet off of his head, swings it at you, and hits you with it twice.
Yes.
And then you're not sure if he puts it back on or not?
No, the video's over.
Okay.
And ultimately, somebody pulls you by the neck up off the ground, you said?
Yes.
Okay, so you would agree somebody was trying to break this thing up?
Yes.
Do you know who it was that pulled you off?
No.
And at that point, you said, Mama Lifer gave you your beer back.
Yes.
And you guys took off, right?
Yep.
You and Griffin went down to the end of the driveway, and you got a ride from the girls that we saw in the photograph later,
Yes.
right? And it appeared that a number of the folks in there, including yourself, were holding blue cans of Bud Light. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Would you agree that you were holding a blue can of Bud Light?
I believe I had the box in my hand.
Okay. A number of the girls were holding what appeared to be blue cans of Bud Light. Correct?
Yeah.
So y'all were drinking in the car on the way back to where you went, which was back to Ms. Ritzik's house?
I don't recall if I was.
Okay. There was drinking going on in the car?
I'm sure.
You can see that at least?
I don't know.
Well, you gave them those Bud Lights, right?
I don't recall.
Don't recall. How do you think?
In
Why do
any
you think they
event,
offered you a ride?
You got back to Natalia's house?
Yes.
They dropped you off there?
Yes.
You do recall that?
Them dropping us off there?
Yes.
Yes.
And you were there for about 10 minutes before you got picked up by Charlie Connery, right?
Yes.
How did Charlie Connery know to come and pick you up from Natalia Ritzik's house?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Well, you told us that about a week earlier you'd been added to the basketball group chat, right?
Yes.
And that basketball group chat, that included Griffin Marcenzik, right?
Yes.
Did that include Tanner Chernowski?
I don't know.
Did it include Sal Perry?
I don't know.
Michael Samperi?
I don't know.
Did it include Alex Bernstein?
I don't know.
Did it include Tanner Chernowski?
I don't know.
You don't know anybody that was included on this group chat that you got added to?
I didn't know anybody in that group chat other than a few of my Shelton friends.
Oh, okay. Well, which of your Shelton friends did you know in that group
Just
chat?
ones that weren't involved in anything.
Like who?
Like Michael Kinnick, for example.
Okay. That's the only one of your friends that you knew that was in that?
Yeah.
How many people were on that group chat?
I don't know.
10?
I don't know.
15?
Don't know.
20?
Objection.
Still don't know.
Don't know.
Sustained.
You have no idea how many people were on that basketball group chat?
No.
That you told us was about a lot of shit talking, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know anybody that was on it?
No.
Sustained.
And
thank you, Regina.
Somehow, Charlie Connery knew to come pick you up at Natalia Ritzik's and take you over to Tyler Rich's house, right?
Yep.
Had you had plans that night to go to Tyler Rich's house already?
No.
And along the way, you told Charlie Connery about what had happened at 5 Lazy Brook, right?
You already had known.
How did he already know?
I don't know.
How would he know? Speculation.
Sustained. Again. All right, so Mr. Hines, I'm going to ask you to just pause in between the questions so counsel can go forward with his objection. So once he objects, please refrain from providing an answer, okay? Thank you so much.
Sorry.
And again, direction to the jury, the last response should be stricken from evidence. Thank you.
You say he already knew when he came to pick you up about the fight at 5 Lazy Brook.
Yes.
How did you know that he already knew?
Because he asked me about it.
He asked you about the fight at 5 Lazy Brook.
Mm-hmm.
And based upon that question, you determined he already knew about it.
Yes.
Okay. And how long did it take you to get over to Tyler Rich's house?
Another 10 minutes.
Any drinking along the way?
Not that I recall, no.
And you told us yesterday that you weren't involved on that group chat, right?
No.
But then you told us today that in fact, maybe you had sent a message, just one message, right?
Yes.
What was that message?
Saying that they were pussies for jumping me at the Lifer household.
And to come to 43 Laurel Glen Drive, right?
No.
You didn't send out the address?
No.
But somebody did, didn't they?
I believe so, yes.
On that group chat, right?
I would assume so, yes.
Well, you wouldn't assume so. You told us you were aware of that group chat. It was going off and it was buzzing in your pocket when you told us yesterday, right?
Yes.
And you would look at it from time to time and just say, oh, that's nothing. I'm not worried about that, right?
Yes.
Except today you told us, in fact, no, you had been involved. You would agree that's different than just looking at it and ignoring it, right?
This is before, like, I was at the Rich's house. I was not sending any text.
Did you acknowledge the stream?
Like, before I even got picked up by Charlie.
Do you recall speaking to officers on May 15th at about noon when you were at St. Vincent's Hospital?
Slightly.
Officers Millington and Nugent came in and they talked to you while you were there, right?
Yes.
And you told them that your friends and you had reached out to the kids who jumped you and told them to come to Tyler Rich's house at 43 Laurel Glen Drive now that you had your friends with you, right?
I don't recall that, no.
You don't recall that?
No.
Do you generally, in your everyday speaking, say that you don't recall something?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
I don't recall that either.
And do you recall speaking to detectives on June 9th around 3:30 with your parents at your home, Detectives Iannati and Bango?
Somewhat, yes.
Do you recall telling them that someone from the Shelton High School group texted the St. Joe's kids and challenged them to show up at 43 Laurel Glen Drive?
I do recall that, yes.
You do recall that?
Yes.
So again, it's not that you were just feeling your phone buzz and thinking, gosh, I don't want to pay attention to this. I don't have any idea what's going on. You were aware of what was happening, right?
No.
Well, how were you not aware of what was happening?
Because I wasn't reading the text messages. I just saw the notifications.
But you texted on that same group chat, right?
Hours previously.
Hours previously.
Yeah.
Hours previously, you told these kids that they were pussies, correct?
Yes.
On this group chat,
Yes.
correct? What time was that?
Around like 8 or 9 o'clock.
So at least around 8 or 9 o'clock, you knew that you could use that basketball group chat to text with these St. Joe's kids?
Yes.
Sir, would it surprise you if you learned that those kids weren't added to that group chat until after 5 Lazy Brook?
I'm not sure. What do you mean by that?
You're telling us that you texted these kids using this basketball group chat between 8 to 9 o'clock, right?
I believe so, yes.
Told them that they were pussies, right?
Yes.
But you didn't tell them to come to 43 Laurel Glen Drive because now you had your friends with you.
I did not tell them that, no.
You didn't tell them that?
I did not.
Or you don't recall telling them
I did
that?
not tell them that, no.
Did somebody tell them that?
I'm sure.
You know somebody told them that, right? You were part of that group chat. You had to open it up and text on that group chat, right?
I don't object.
Sustained.
Asked and answered. And it calls
Sustained.
for speculation.
Miss Chris, OG.
So you would agree
25 months.
that when you
Thank
texted on that group chat, you would have to open it up. You couldn't just look at the notification, right?
No, you can just look at the notification.
In order to text something back?
I wasn't texting anything back.
You were texting on that group chat, right?
Beforehand.
And in order to text on the group chat, you had to open the group chat, right?
Yes.
And you were with Griffin Marcinzik, right?
Yes.
And you could see where Griffin Marcinzik was, right?
When?
When he was with you in the car?
Yes.
When he was with you at the Ridzik house?
Yes.
When he was with you when Charlie Connery came to pick you up?
Yes.
You were side by side most of the time, right?
No.
Not in the car?
No.
Where was Griffin in the car?
Which car?
Well, where was Griffin in Charlie Connery's car?
I don't know.
Where were you?
In the back seat.
You couldn't see Griffin texting?
No.
Did you see him with his phone out?
Yes.
Did you see him with his phone open?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
You think he just had his phone out in his hand, but you saw that, but you don't know if it was open or not?
I'm not sure, no.
What'd you see him doing with the phone when you saw him with it?
I don't know.
What were y'all talking about on the way there?
Just what had happened.
With Charlie?
Like in Charlie's car?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's you, Charlie, and Griffin in the car, right?
Yes.
And you guys are talking about what happened at 5 Lazy Brook?
Objection, asked and answered.
Yes.
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
And you're talking about what is going to happen next when you get to Tyler Rich's house, right?
No.
No. And there's no talk about payback or anything like that, right?
No.
And so there's this basketball group chat that you've now told us you actually did participate in which there's a lot of shit talking, but nothing's going on like that on the way to the house in Charlie Connery's car, right?
No.
You guys are just calm, cool, collected?
Yes.
Not excited?
No.
Not angry about what happened?
No.
Nobody's saying, hey, we should text these kids and get them to come over here?
I was not, no.
You weren't?
I was not.
Was Griffin?
Objection, that calls for hearsay.
Sustained.
And you told us yesterday that when you got to Tyler Rich's house, everybody already knew about what had happened at 5 Lazy Brook, right?
Yes.
How many people were there when you got to the house?
20 or 30.
And you told us yesterday you didn't really care though, right?
No.
You didn't really care. Why did you text these guys and tell them that they were pussies?
Because I had been jumped.
So you did care.
I'd been jumped.
You did care.
Not really, no.
Not really. Didn't anger you?
No.
Didn't upset you?
No.
Didn't make you want payback?
No.
You went to school with Tyler Rich?
Yes.
You played football with Tyler Rich?
Yes.
He was a couple years older than you?
Yes.
And he was the captain of the football team for 1 year while you were there?
Yes.
You'd been to his house before?
Yes.
You knew to go in through the Bilko doors on the side, right?
Yes.
You knew when you got there that there was going to be some drinking going on?
Yes.
And you said that people were coming up to you and questioning you, and they already knew about what had happened, right?
Yes.
Who came up to you and questioned you about it?
I don't recall.
Well, you told us yesterday Jimmy McGrath was one of the first ones to come up to you, right?
He was one of the people that did come up to me.
And he came up to you and asked you about what happened at 5 Lazy Brook, right?
Yes.
And he was interested in what had happened at 5 Lazy Brook, right?
Yeah.
I think that calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Did his demeanor and his questioning indicate to you that he was interested in what had happened at 5 Lazy Brook?
Yes.
Did it indicate to you that he was concerned about what had happened at 5 Lazy Brook?
No.
He wasn't concerned?
No, he just wanted to hear what happened.
So it didn't indicate to you that he was excited in any way about it?
No.
Didn't indicate in any way that he was upset about it?
No.
Didn't indicate in any way to you that he was angry about it?
No.
He's just calm, cool, collected. First thing he asked you was, hey, what happened at 5 Lazy Brook?
Pretty much, yes.
Culture here says.
I'll allow it.
Do you remember anybody other than Jimmy McGrath coming up to you and asking you about it?
No.
But everybody there already knew, you told us, right?
Yes.
So you would agree that it was more than just Jimmy McGrath that came up to you and asked you about it, right?
Certainly, yes.
And in fact, there was some conversation that occurred, right? With everybody that was there yesterday. Conversation, hanging out, people drinking.
Yes.
And one of the main topics of conversation was what had happened to you at 5 Lazy Brook.
Yes.
He told us you only drank 1 beer at that time, right?
Yes.
How do you know it was only 1 beer?
Because it was only 1 beer.
You recall that?
Yes.
You recall that.
And people were planning to reach out to these kids and ask them to come over to 43 Laurel Glen Drive, right?
I believe so.
You know so, right? Because your phone's buzzing and going off and people are talking about it. And there's talk about getting these kids over there, isn't there?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And at one point, Griffin Marcinzik texts the address and a picture of 43 Laurel Glen Drive on this group chat to these kids, correct?
I don't know.
And then you told us at some point a car shows up outside, right?
Yes.
And that car is a Honda Pilot, right?
They're all looking for it.
And nobody was surprised by that, were they?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, they knew that car was going to show up. They texted it to come there, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
And so because nobody is surprised, everybody empties out of the house to go confront the car, right?
No.
How many people emptied out of the house to go confront the car?
I don't know.
Well, you told us yesterday that at least 10 to 15 approached the vehicle, right?
Yes, but that's not everybody.
No, that's about half of you, isn't it?
Somewhat, yes.
And you could be wrong about 10 to 15, you would agree?
Yeah.
Could have been more, could have been 20.
Could have been less.
Could it have been more?
I don't know.
Could have been less. The snark here is crazy.
And you told us yesterday that the car parked right in front of the drive, right?
No. It was not exactly right in front of the driveway, but it was a little farther back. It was about halfway in front of the driveway.
Okay. Mr. Hines, I'm just going to come around you. I don't want to surprise you, but I'm going to come around and put this up on.
Gonna get behind you like
The
my
easel
client
behind
did.
you. It's
before
exhibit
he
number
punched you.
52, states exhibit number 52.
Yeah.
Pointer there.
No.
Okay, that's pointer.
Winner, it's right there.
I'll try not to drop it today. And if you would, can you show us where that vehicle parked when it showed up that first time?
It's not in that frame.
It's not in that frame?
No.
So it's not that close to the driveway?
It was back here more.
Okay.
It's over here.
All right. We are going to use States Exhibit 49. Just move all these off because we got big stuff. Can you see States Exhibit 49 on your screen there?
Yep.
Okay. Looking at that, do you see the driveway in front of 43 Laurel Glen?
Yes, I do.
Do you see what looks like some sort of pathway down to the house across the street?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see the corner of the intersection of Adams and Laurel Glen Drive?
Yes, I do.
And do you see what appears to be a sewer or drainage grate there?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see across the street on the other side of Laurel Glen from 43, sort of area of large trees there?
Yes.
Okay. Now that we've oriented ourselves, can you describe for us where that vehicle parked when it first showed?
More near the bushes across the street.
More near these, would you agree maybe these are trees given their apparent height?
Yes.
So you think that the vehicle parked more near trees on the opposite side of Laurel Glen Drive?
Yeah.
And so in relation to the driveway, you would agree that that is not near the driveway?
It was like that general area.
It's somewhere over there, closer to the curb on that side of the street?
Oh, no, they were in the middle of the road.
They're in the middle of the road?
Yes.
There were other cars parked up and down the street as well, correct?
Yes.
All right, so now we've got the vehicle out there, and you told us that 10 to 15 of you approached the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, when you got right next to the vehicle, you didn't talk to anyone, right?
No.
But you noticed that in fact, these were the kids that had been told on the basketball group chat to come to 43 Lower Glen Drive, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
You noticed that these were Mr. Snyder, Mr. De Silva, and Mr. Valle in the car, you told us, right?
Yes.
Those were the kids from 5 Lazy Brook, correct?
Yes.
And these were, therefore, the kids that had been told to come to 43 Laurel Glen Drive, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Again, it didn't surprise you that those kids had showed up, right?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
You don't remember whether or not you were surprised that they showed up?
No.
Didn't you just tell us moments ago that you weren't surprised?
No.
And the car was facing towards Farmhouse Lane, correct?
That's at the other end of the street, right?
That is at the other end of the street, yes,
Yes.
sir. Okay. And you noticed the 3 that I just mentioned, as well as Mackenzie Trafficante.
Yes.
How did you know Mackenzie?
I just knew who she was from social media.
She's big on social
And you
media.
said the 10 or 15 of you approached the vehicle and someone had a conversation, right?
Yes.
And you were standing right beside the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And you were on the driver's side of the vehicle, correct?
Yeah, I was kind of going back and forth.
When you say back and forth between what 2 points?
Like the driver's side and the passenger side.
So you were going back and forth around the vehicle from one side to the other?
Yeah.
Behind the vehicle or in front of the vehicle?
I don't recall.
Was anybody else going back and forth with you?
I don't know.
Who else was there at the vehicle with you?
I don't know.
You don't know any of the other people that were at the vehicle with you?
No.
Did you see Tyler Rich there?
No.
Did you see Faison Teal there?
No.
Did you see Michael Samperi there?
No.
Did you see Sal Perry there?
No.
Did you see Alex Bernstein there?
No.
Did you see Matthew Lokovich there?
No.
Did you see Tanner Chernowski there?
No.
You didn't see Tyler Rich there?
No.
So there were 10 or 15 of you there, and these were all friends that you'd had and played football with at least since the 8th grade.
Yes.
But you can't tell who was there with you at the car.
No.
You heard voices.
Yes.
Whose voices did you hear?
I don't know.
You said you heard someone having a conversation.
Yes.
Who was that was having the conversation?
I don't know.
Well, you said that initially that conversation was normal, right?
Yes.
When you say normal, what do you mean by normal conversation?
Like the one me and you are having right now.
Okay.
You're not calling him anything, are you?
So it was just a questioning back and forth. Hey, how you doing?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember any mention of McDonald's?
No.
You guys get fries?
You didn't think this was an Uber that had showed up to deliver something, right?
No.
Uber
and
Fights. It's a new branch of the company.
you can't tell
Uber
us who was
Fights.
having this conversation, but it seemed to be a normal conversation. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Right. And then you said, then it became aggressive, right?
Yes.
It didn't just get aggressive, right?
What do you mean by that?
Somebody did something. for it to become aggressive, for it to change, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Did you see Tyler Rich reach inside the front driver's side window?
No.
Did you see Tyler Rich put his body halfway into the front driver's side window?
No.
I think we're going to hear that from the defendant.
Did you see Ayden King at the car?
No.
There's Ayden again. The defendant was looking for him.
And then you told us that cans started getting thrown at the car, right?
Yes.
Again, sir, they didn't just start getting thrown, right?
Yes.
No. Somebody threw something, right?
Yes. No.
They threw a can, yes.
Yes. It didn't just start from nothing, right?
I don't know.
Well, you've described it as cans just started getting thrown at the car.
From what I was aware of, yes, that's what had happened.
But then you told us that you threw a can at the car.
Yes, I did.
So it didn't just start getting thrown, you threw a can at the car.
I didn't start throwing the cans.
Okay, you joined in of the throwing of the cans.
Yes, I did.
You would agree that it was other people, not some anonymous entity that was throwing cans at the vehicle, right?
Yes.
And those people that were throwing cans at the vehicle were aggressive. Would you agree?
They were aggressive, you said?
Yes.
Sure.
That's an aggressive act, right?
Yeah.
What would you expect the response to be to a can being thrown?
I'm going to project that closer to me.
Sustained.
What did you intend to happen when you threw the can at the car?
For my can to hit the car?
You wanted those kids to get out of the car, right?
No.
You heard somebody say, leave or get out.
No.
You didn't want them to get out of the car.
I didn't hear them say that. I didn't want them to get out of the car. I didn't care if they got out of the car.
You didn't want them to get out of the car. You didn't care if they got out of the car. So why'd you throw the can at the car?
I just wanted to throw the can at the car.
Is that a normal thing for you to want to do?
No.
Why did you want to throw a can at that car?
I just saw other people doing it.
Do you generally just do what you see other people doing, even if it's criminal?
No.
But in this instance, something about the occasion made you want to do that.
Yes.
What was it about the occasion that made you want to do that?
I don't know.
Okay. In any event, you threw a can and you hit the car. And other people were throwing cans too, right?
Yes.
Were you still circling around the vehicle while you did this?
No.
Where were you now?
I was on the passenger side.
On the passenger side?
Yes.
Who did you see on the passenger side?
I don't remember.
He's so frustrated.
How many other people were on the passenger side with you?
Maybe 5.
5 people on the passenger side?
Maybe.
How many people were on the driver's side?
I don't know.
More people were on the other side, right?
I don't
Objection. He said he didn't know.
Sustained.
Could you see other people on the other side?
Yes.
So there were other people on the other side?
Yes.
You just don't know how many?
No.
Or you know, but you won't tell us?
I don't know how many.
Sustained.
You never saw Tyler Rich on the driver's side of the vehicle?
No.
You saw in the picture yesterday of the vehicle that it had a defect in the windshield, right?
Yes.
Did you see that when you were on the passenger side?
No.
You saw it in that video, in that picture though, didn't you?
Yes.
Did you hear glass shatter?
No.
And you didn't see anybody throw anything from that vehicle, did you?
Not that I recall, no.
You didn't see anybody put their hands on the vehicle?
No.
You didn't see anybody kick the vehicle?
No.
You didn't see anybody rock the vehicle?
No.
But at some point you said,
Amy, welcome to the gallery.
the car pulled away and started driving back and forth really fast, right?
Yes.
Love the
But they
pink
weren't throwing
courthouse.
anything out the windows.
No.
And at that point, you were in the driveway, you told us.
Yes.
And who else was in the driveway with you?
I don't remember.
Were there other people in the driveway with you?
I'm sure there was.
Was Face on Teal in the driveway?
I don't know.
Was Tyler Rich in the driveway?
I don't know.
Can you tell us anybody who was in the driveway with you?
No.
But you told us you were talking to the person that was next to you, right?
Yes.
Who was that?
I don't know.
Nobody knows. Okay. Mary, thank you very much. This is tragic. They should have just driven home. And this would have been nothing.
And you said at some point, you do remember that the car stopped at the corner near Farmhouse Lane and Laurel Glen Drive, right?
Yes.
Where were you standing at that point?
When it stopped?
Yes.
I believe I was in the driveway still.
And you told us that you did remember that Tyler Rich, at that point, was running down the street after the car, right?
Yes.
Where had he been before he was running down the street after the car?
I don't know.
Don't know. I'll take the next question.
But you remember that he was running down the street after the car?
Yes.
Here we go. This next
Was anybody
question.
else with him?
I don't know.
There were some people. I don't know who they were, though.
How many?
I don't know.
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it. Great to have you in green again.
And you told us that you walked halfway down there by yourself, right?
Yes.
You weren't with Tyler Rich?
No.
You weren't with Faison Teal?
No.
You weren't with Enrique Fiola?
No.
And you said you were by the trees on the left-hand side of Laurel Glen by pine trees just past 43 Laurel Glen Drive. Do you remember telling us that yesterday?
Yeah, like where the shade is in the picture.
But you weren't close enough to see what was going on, you told us.
No.
This
So at
testimony
that point,
could
you
have been
couldn't see Tyler Rich
email.
anymore?
No.
At that point, you couldn't see Faison Teal?
No.
Couldn't see Enrico Fiola?
No.
Could you see Charlie Connery?
No.
Did you see Mr. Valle?
No.
You didn't see Mr. Valle emerge from the bushes on the other side?
No.
Did you see anybody throwing anything at that point?
No.
Did you hear anybody saying anything at that point?
No.
Where was the vehicle now?
Still at the end of the road.
Still at the end of the road, so you could see the vehicle?
Yeah.
What was it doing?
Parked.
Were the doors open?
Yes.
So you could see that the doors were open?
Yes.
And did you see anybody come out of the car?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't know.
And where was Tyler Rich at that point?
I believe down at the car.
Melanie, thank you.
And
so
sir, do you
much.
recall telling officers on June 9th when you spoke to them at your home that in fact you, Enrico Fiola, and Tyler Rich approached and told them to leave?
No, I don't.
You don't recall telling that?
No.
Did you tell them that?
I don't recall saying that.
You're telling us now that you only walked halfway down there, right?
Yes.
And you weren't close enough to see what was going on?
No.
But you told us yesterday that people appeared to be talking.
Yes.
What was it about their appearance that led you to believe they were talking?
Like hand gestures, stuff like that. Just looked like they were having a conversation.
Civil conversation?
Yes.
Hand gestures like what?
Just normal hand gestures that you would say while you're having a conversation.
This one.
Didn't appear to be aggressive to you at that point?
This one. This one.
You didn't throw anything down there at that point?
No.
You were done throwing things?
Yes.
I was done throwing things.
And you weren't upset anymore at that point?
No.
I got it out of my system.
And you watched that for 30 seconds before you went back to the house, correct?
Yes.
Through the Bilko doors, correct?
Yes.
Back inside to Tyler Rich's.
Yes.
And you said when you got back there, everyone seemed to be in there then, right?
Yes.
Did they pass you, the group of folks that you had seen down at the end of Farmhouse Lane?
No.
How did everyone get back in before you got back into the basement?
Because I was halfway down the street and then not that many people walked there. Everybody just went inside.
Did you see Tyler Rich inside?
No.
Did you see Faison Teal inside?
No.
Did you see Matthew Lockovich inside?
No.
Did you see Alex Bernstein inside?
No.
Did you see Sal Perry inside?
No.
Did you see Michael St. Perry inside?
No.
Did you see Charlie Connery inside?
No.
Did you see Tommy Connery inside?
No.
Did you see Ty Wood inside?
No.
Who did you see inside?
I don't remember.
But everyone seemed to be in there.
Yes.
And did they all seem to be calm?
I don't remember.
Did they seem to be agitated in any way?
I don't remember.
What were they doing?
I don't really remember. I just remember being in there and there was people in there.
So before, when everybody was in there and nobody had even arrived, everybody was interested in what had happened at Lazy Brook. You would agree?
Yes.
But now, after all of this commotion, everybody's back in the basement and you're telling us that nothing was going on. It was all just business as usual.
Yeah.
Was there any drinking going on?
I don't know.
And then you said you heard they're back, right?
Yes.
Who said they're back?
I don't know.
Whose voice was it?
I don't know.
Was it just one person?
I believe so.
And how did they say they're back?
They're back.
Just like that?
Yeah. They're in the front yard. They're back. Just like that.
Just like, oh, they're in the front yard. They're back.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not excited or agitated in any way?
No.
Not they're in the yard. Let's go. They're back.
No.
No, because you said instantly you were like, I want to go see what it is, right?
Yeah.
What did you think it was going to be?
I don't know.
You just were curious about what might be going on.
Yes.
So you decided, I'm going to go out and just see what it is.
Yes.
Did you walk leisurely back to the front yard?
Yes, I did.
Didn't run?
No.
But you told the state's attorney that you were anticipating a fight in the front yard, right?
No.
You said you anticipated a fist fight when you talked to him.
No.
You don't recall telling him before that you anticipated a fist fight when he was asking you about whether or not there were weapons?
No.
Were you anticipating a fist fight?
No, I really wasn't.
So the truth of the matter is, when you walked out there,
yeah,
you were anticipating a fight because you wanted payback for 5 Lazy Brook, right?
No, I just walked out there to see who was out there.
Well, you'd heard they're back, right?
Yes.
That's what drew your attention to going out there, right?
Yes.
You thought they're back meant you were going to see the kids in the pilot again, right?
Most likely, yes.
The kids that you had thrown the can at before, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't want payback.
No.
You weren't anticipating a fight.
No.
You didn't think, man, I've got 20 of my buddies from the Shelton High football team here. We got pretty good odds on our side.
No.
You were just curious.
Yes.
He told us that you walked into the yard and you were somewhere behind the red bush, right?
Yes.
And you saw, well, first off, when you were somewhere behind the red bush, did you see Tommy Connery?
No.
He wasn't in that area with you?
No. I remember I was one of the first people that walked outside.
You were one of the first people that walked outside?
Yes.
When you walked outside, did you see Faison Teal?
No.
Did you see Tyler Rich?
No.
Who did you see when you walked outside?
The defendant in De Silva.
That's it?
Yes.
So you were the first one outside?
One of, yes.
Well, who else was out there with you?
I don't know.
Well, how do you know you were one of?
Because I can remember, I never made it, like, I was inside the basement, but I never, like, left the area of, like, where the stairs were, like, to lead back outside through the corridors. So when somebody said they're here, I was already right there, right by the stairs. So I was one of the first person that stepped up the stairs and walked outside.
I thought you told us before that you had gotten back, went inside his house, and you're in the basement, and everyone seemed to be in there.
Yeah. They were all in there, and I was one of the last people in there.
So now you're saying you didn't get into the basement, you were still on the stairs.
No, I was in there. I was just next to the stairs, like at the bottom of the steps, you could say.
The person who said they're back, were they inside or outside?
I don't know.
And you came back up the stairs and you went and you stood behind the red bush and you just saw these 2 people in the yard.
Yes.
Okay. Do you see the exhibit behind you, sir?
Yes, I do.
Do you still have the pointer with the little red tip on it?
I do.
Okay. Can you show us where you saw the 2 individuals?
They were right about in this area.
Okay. So they're back by the red bush?
Yes.
Okay. Beside the black truck?
Yeah.
In front of the cement square?
Around there, yeah.
Do they look like they were coming into the house?
I don't know.
That's the same path that people take to get to the Bilko doors, right?
Yes.
What was Where was Mr. De Silva?
He was behind the defendant.
Behind the defendant?
Yes.
Could you see him?
Yes.
So was he behind and to the side or directly behind him?
Behind and to the side.
Which side?
My right side. So
you're facing the street.
Yes, I'm facing the street. So
Mr. De Silva is on the side by the what we've described before as Belgian blocks there that go along the side of the driveway.
Yes.
Okay. And where was Mr. Valle?
In front of him, and in like more like this area up here a little more.
Okay. So up close to the tree line.
Yeah.
And you were one of the first ones out, you told us.
Yes.
And you didn't see anything in Mr. De Silva's hands?
No.
Didn't see anything in Mr. Valle's hands?
No.
You didn't have a knife out that he was flashing around and saying, who wants some?
No.
In fact, he wasn't talking to you, right?
Who?
Mr. Valle.
About?
Well, he wasn't talking to you. He was asking, where's Ayden King, you told us.
Oh, he was talking to me, asking me where Ayden King was.
You thought he was asking you where Ayden King was?
Yes, he was.
Do you know Ayden King?
Yes, I do.
How do you know Ayden King?
I played football with him.
Okay. Do you know if he knows Mr. Valle?
I don't
Objection, how?
Sustained.
And you said that you interacted with them, right?
Yes.
And what did that interaction involve?
The defendant walked up with like his shirt up over his head, like trying to hide his face almost. And he was saying, where's Ayden King? Where's Ayden King? Where's Ayden King? Just repeatedly over and over again. And by this time it was me, Ty Wood, and Nikki DeJesus all next to each other. And we're like, don't worry about it. Like, it doesn't matter where he is. And I pulled the shirt off of his head and I was questioning him, saying, like, what are you doing with that on your head? Why are you wearing a shirt on your head?
So you reached out and you put hands on Mr. Valle?
No, I just kind of went like that because he had his shirt up on his head. So I just pulled it down.
Shirt was on his head?
Yes.
You reached out and touched the shirt?
Yes.
But that's not you putting hands on Mr. Valle?
Not in a physical way, no.
You thought you were straightening his shirt out for him, making sure he looked okay?
Yeah, I mean, I never really seen people put their shirt up on their head like that before. I didn't know what he meant by it.
You didn't tell him Ayden. I don't know where Ayden is.
Yeah, I did say that.
Oh, you did?
I don't know where Ayden is.
Okay. I thought you told him, don't worry about it, I'm right here.
Pretty much, yes.
So that's not, I don't know where Ayden is, right?
I said all of it, yes.
You said, I'm right here.
I believe so, yes.
Indicating to him that you were the person he needed to deal with, right?
No. I was just the person in front of him.
The tip of the spear, so to speak.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you were the first one that was confronting him, right?
Yeah.
And you told us that at this point, you know that you had been joined by at least two others that you've identified to us, right?
Yes.
And that was Ty Wood?
Yes.
And who was the other person?
Nikki DeJesus.
Okay. Can you show us on that exhibit behind you there where they were?
Right next to me?
Yes.
So like right in this area.
Okay. And there's now three of you at least.
Yes.
Was there anybody else out there?
Not that I know of, no.
So you think it was just the three of you and Mr. Valle?
Yes.
You weren't aware that other people had started to come out of the house?
No.
Okay. Could you hear other people?
No.
What was Mr. De Silva doing?
I don't know. He was kind of just standing behind and to the right. I wasn't really paying attention to him. Like after I took off the defendant's shirt off of his head, I was really just locked in, staring him right in the eyes. I wasn't worried about Mr. De Silva.
You were staring him right in the eyes?
Yes.
And you say he had his own shirt up over his head before you reached out and pulled it down. Were you standing in such a way that you were blocking anybody else's view from seeing Mr. Valle?
How would he know?
Sustained.
He said after you pulled his shirt off of his head that he got crazy and started freaking out, right?
Yes.
Became very argumentative.
Yes.
Asked you, why'd you take his shirt off his head?
Yes.
Asked you, what are you doing touching me?
No.
He took a swing at you.
Who?
Mr. Valle.
No.
No?
No.
You didn't see him take a swing or flinch?
Oh, he was flinching the whole time.
He was flinching the whole time?
Yeah.
Because there were, by your account, 3 people that were facing him.
Yes.
Did you become aware at some point that there were more than just 3 of you out there?
No.
You never became aware that there was more than 3 of you out there?
Well, after I had gotten up from the altercation I had with the defendant.
You said that at least you, Nikki DeJesus, and Ty Wood are talking shit back and forth, right?
Yes.
And that lasted, you said, for 30 to 45 seconds.
Probably, yes.
And you were challenging him to fight, right?
No.
What were you saying?
Just talking shit.
And that shit talk didn't involve any challenge to fight?
No, that's not, like, no, that's not at all. None of us really were saying that at all. Nobody was saying.
The shit talk just involved what? Insulting his clothing?
You could say that, yes.
Did you ever feel anybody push against you from behind?
No.
But out of nowhere, Tyler Rich punches Mr. Valle in the face, right?
Yes.
Where did Tyler Rich come from?
I don't know.
You don't know. So at that point, you would agree it's not just 3 of you, it's at least now 4 of you that are fighting with Mr. Valle.
I'm not sure.
Well, there's you, right? There's Ty Wood, right?
Well, I don't know if he was fighting.
Well, he was right there with you.
Doesn't mean he was fighting.
Okay. Fair enough. Nikki DeJesus was right there with you.
Yes.
And now Tyler Rich was right there with you as well.
No, he just came out of nowhere and punched him in the face.
Right. You would agree he at least was now fighting Mr. Valle, right?
Not that I don't know.
Punch him in the face. I think he's fighting. Can we agree on that?
You would at least agree that he punched him in the face out of nowhere,
yes.
Right? And so the 3 of you, Ty Wood, yourself, Nikki DeJesus, you were distracting Mr. Valle so that Ty Rich could punch him in the face.
No.
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 But after Tyler Rich punched him in the face, you backed off, right? And you were like, oh, Tyler Rich has got this.
No.
No. You went forward, you got on top of Mr. Valle, and you told us that you punched him at least twice in the face, right?
Yes.
In fact, people crowded forward at that point, right?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
I just know of my actions.
And your actions, at least, were that you punched him twice in the face, right?
Yes.
While he's down on the ground, right?
Yes.
You're over top of him, right?
Yes.
You've got control of him, right?
No.
No. You don't have a handful of shirt in one hand and punch in the other?
No.
But you would agree you're at least over top of him?
Yes.
Delivering these 2 blows?
Yes.
Only 2 blows?
Yes.
Nobody else has joined you in this attack?
Just
Not
like
that
the
I know of,
beers.
no.
Only 2.
And the crowd didn't push forward?
I don't know what the crowd did.
Crowd didn't swarm around?
The crowd
I
went
don't
wild. Yell, yes, sir.
You heard screaming?
Yeah.
You heard yelling?
Yeah.
You heard somebody say, yes, sir?
No.
You saw it in the video at least?
Yeah.
That was Tanner Chernowski
Yes.
filming this, right?
Not the beginning of the fight, no. He got the end of the fight.
The video that we see, that was Tanner Chernowski who recorded it, right?
Yeah.
And he was recording that and yelling, yes, sir, right?
Yeah.
And that was sort of celebratory, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
You described to us that while you were on top of Mr. Valle punching him, his shoulder and his bicep were held back?
It seemed like that, yeah.
What was holding it back?
I don't know.
And you could see his fist, right?
Yes.
And at some point, you got off of him and walked away, right?
Yeah.
After you felt the stick, right?
Yes.
And you said he wasn't trying to hit you in a certain spot.
No, he was just like, I just seen his fist like this, just going like this repeatedly over and over again.
Flailing wildly.
Yeah.
And your injuries, sir, start sort of at the middle of your body and make their way down into the backside, right?
So yeah, my first one is up more near my armpit, then one's down more by my hip, and then the other one is like my mid thigh.
Where was Tommy Connery at that point?
I don't know.
Didn't see Tommy Connery? Did you see other people punching or kicking Mr. Valle?
No. Did not.
It was just the two of you isolated.
Yes.
And you told us that after you got off of him, you realized that Tyler De Silva was in a fight, right?
Yes.
And that he was fighting with his own group of people, right?
Yes.
And how many people were fighting with him?
Looked like 2 or 3.
2 or 3?
Yeah.
And you did not engage with Tyler De Silva, right?
No, I did not.
You didn't throw any punches or throw any kicks at Tyler De Silva?
No.
The fight took a minute?
Around that, yeah.
Could have been more, maybe 2 or 3 minutes?
No, it was probably less.
Probably less. Less than a minute?
Yeah.
You said you only watched the fight with Tyler De Silva, but you agree that other people were throwing punches and blows at Mr. De Silva, right?
Yes.
Tommy Connery didn't come over and get involved and throw some blows at Mr. Valle?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Didn't jump in the middle and separate you?
I don't remember that, no.
Did you see Charlie Connery?
No.
And it was when you heard he's got a knife that Ty Wood pointed out to you that you were bleeding, right?
Yes.
And where was Ty Wood at that point?
He was like right next to me.
And where were you?
Right next to him.
And could you show us where that was on the exhibit behind you? Okay. So by that point, you had moved away from where you were originally when you started with Mr. Valle, correct? In fact, when this original interaction or confrontation occurs, it was where you've described as being by the red bush, over by the tree line and the black truck, right?
Yeah.
How did you get from there over to by the tree where you've just pointed to?
I walked.
The fight itself with Mr. Valle, you say, all occurred over where the initial confrontation took place?
Yes.
And when you say you saw the defendant's fist clenched with something in it that you now believe was a knife, that was his right hand, correct?
Yeah, it was his right hand.
You told us when this started, it was just the three of you, Mr. DeJesus, yourself, and Mr. Wood, facing Mr. Valle, correct? At some point, Mr. Rich comes over and joins the three of you and throws this first punch, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Valle hadn't thrown any punches at that point?
No.
Hadn't shown you a knife at that point?
No.
Hadn't threatened you at that point?
No.
And you would agree, would you not, that at least in the video, there are well more than 3 kids involved with fighting?
Fighting who?
Fighting with whoever is out there. There's more than 3 kids that are out there fighting, right?
I don't object. That's confusing.
Sustained.
You would agree that in the video, we see more than 3 kids on the video, correct?
Yeah.
That it was a chaotic scene, right?
Of course.
That people were rolling around and it was hard to tell who was where, right?
Sure, yeah.
And you never saw Jack Snyder leave the car, right?
No.
Okay, AC guy just fixed our AC again. One more check. This time it should work.
And after you backed off of Raul Valle, you could see that he was still fighting with some of the other Shelton High kids, right?
Oh, I have no idea.
You don't recall any of that?
I don't know.
After you backed off of him, you don't recall anything about what else was going on with Mr. Valle? No. But you do recall that you saw Mr. De Silva fighting?
Yeah, like I got up and I immediately like turned around and I see what's going on with De Silva.
And you just watched?
Yes.
Didn't throw any kicks?
No.
Didn't throw any punches?
No.
Didn't get involved in any way with? No. And that night you were wearing the green hoodie?
Yes.
Black shorts and the white trim?
Yes.
Other than Tyler Rich throwing the punch at Mr. Valle, can you tell us anybody else who threw a punch that night?
No.
You never saw Mr. Valle punch anybody?
No.
And it was only after you were standing over top of him, punching him, that you felt a stick in your side?
Yeah.
And your recollection is that it was just you and Mr. Valle fighting alone?
Yes.
No further questions.
Thank you, sir. Nothing further.
Attorney Durst.
I do have some redirect. Do you want to take the morning recess at this point?
I think probably now is a good time to do that, sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are going to go ahead and take our morning recess. 15 minutes. We'll be back to hear evidence. Thank you. Court stands in recess.
Set a timer for 15 minutes. All right. We have a timer going. We'll be back in 15. Thank you, Siri. Appreciate that. Another 100 and something bucks, $120 left, and we should be good. Apparently, the drain line was clogged. Clogged drain line is why the AC was not working yesterday and blowing 112-degree air. But he says if he has to come back tomorrow, will be no charge. So there we go. All right. I tried to make a song about this one because it's just so frustrating to hear the I don't recall. And I realize that in a high pressure, high speed situation like this, I wouldn't expect everyone to remember everything, right? Note to self, clean your pipes. Yes. Glad he got there. He's amazing. We paged him at 6 o'clock this morning and he's like, I'll be there. And here it is, before noon. He's in and out. I tried to make a song, but it's AI, and you know how terrible that is. It came up with 2 beers and a knife is what it came up with. But what do you guys think? Look at this as the jury sees this, right? What do you think the jury thinks when you have witness after witness after witness clearly saying, I don't recall, to anything that might indicate that any of their friends did anything bad, right? Like they're protecting their friends. Can a juror look at this and say, well, the part he did tell us we're going to listen to and we're going to take that in and weigh it and accept it? Or do we have to discount all this testimony? And that leaves us with reasonable doubt as to what happened. We're going to have the defendant get up there and probably be very different in his demeanor and not be like, I don't recall. When he's getting cross-examined by the prosecutor, he'll probably, make himself look bad in many ways. So, yeah, I did this. I shouldn't have. I did this. I shouldn't have, but this is what happened. And here's where it is. And if he's more honest, we might have a jury that says, I believe the defense guy over all the victims. Their testimony is predictable. As a juror, I'd want to hear from the defendant. I think we will, because when it's a self-defense claim, that is an assertive defense. You have to assert that defense and basically provide testimony or evidence, which could be testimony, that can support a jury finding that fact. And then it switches, I think, back to the prosecution to prove that it wasn't self-defense. So it does burden shift a little bit when you say it was self-defense. I got the defense under high alert. Raul has to testify. I think he does. Still leaving self-defense. Turn on the commands so we can play. Aren't they on? I think they're on right now. They were just quiet. I turned them up a little bit during the break. Hey. Oh, that's much better.
Downstairs is 16.
Yep. Oh, yeah, but it's cooling from 95. So it is cooling. Yeah.
Because he's the guy.
It's blowing 77, 78. I'd take that any day. That was 90 degrees last night. Okay. Got a call coming in. Hang on.
I'm not a camel.
Let's leave it going. It's going to take all day to catch up.
In front of the Walmart.
Amy Nancy.
Ooh. Amy, hello. And by the way, thank you for the generous super chat. How are you doing?
I am doing fair. I now know why. Yeah, fair to partly cloudy. I now know why I could not subscribe last week.
Why's that?
You can't be watching on your TV and also have it running on your phone. Because I sometimes will watch it on the TV and read the chat on my phone, and it doesn't let you do that. Because today it just let me right in, and I wasn't on my TV.
Well, it let you in.
So
you got your pink courthouse back,
I
which is
did.
wonderful. You're subbed again, and you gave a super chat. You got the 3-fer. That is that's amazing. That's not just 2 beers. You got all 3. So.
All 3, and I don't even drink, so
that's
I don't know. So I will say I didn't watch yesterday's yet, but like I just wanted to share in my super chat. This is very typical of what I would hear if I had a group of kids who got in a fight. It's just the unwritten rule these days. It's just the way typical, not all, I'm not putting all, but typical teenagers will respond to anything when they're questioned. His snark that he has, or when it's tone in his voice change, that's normal. That's not, none of it is surprising to me at all. I think he's trying to be honest where it doesn't make any of his friends look bad.
Right.
But there didn't even need to be a conversation of saying, don't say you know anything. It's just an unwritten thing. It's just how they act. I mean, the defense attorney maybe doesn't have any teenagers, or
or he never was one. I don't know.
Or he's a lot older, so you didn't behave that way. And he should have gone and sat in a typical high school he could have gone, I don't know, like a week.
Yeah.
And it would have been he would have seen the same type of attitude. The only reason that sometimes the principal or the assistant principal can figure out really what happened is by cameras, and literally slow motioning down the cameras, and that's in the daylight, and not always can we tell. I've broken up fights with kids in the hall And I have to say, I don't know, because it just
moves
is
quick.
This blur of bodies. And I usually can tell you who taunted who first. All heck breaks loose. And if maybe somebody threw a punch, I can tell you, and thank goodness for cameras. Unfortunately, the Snapchat video is in the dark. That doesn't surprise me at all. That he put that on his story. That's
very common.
A knee-jerk response.
It's very common for youth to put all sorts of things that are inappropriate on Snapchat, thinking that it disappears afterwards and it's gone. It isn't always. Sometimes it lives forever.
I had a student videotape me sitting in my car on my break off of school grounds, using my vape.
Yeah.
And he decided to put that on Instagram.
And I'm sure it went viral.
Locally.
Locally.
I joked with my kids. I had my 5 minutes of fame before they did. But, it didn't bother me at first. I was like, yeah, whatever. And then the principal brought up a good point. He said, who's the creepy one in this? It's really the kid who's the creepy one. And will he eventually film something or someone that's going to backfire on him? And this is a situation where, unfortunately, they have this video, which is now backfiring on all of them. And they've been in that situation before and saying, I don't know. And sure, yeah, okay.
Do you think this witness is telling the truth? I mean, when he talks about his stabs, we've got the evidence. That's true. But do you think that was his first fight?
He's
in football, right?
Yeah, the kids seem like they're pretty.
It's basically a fight with refs.
I think that the school, where I came from, there was some pretty gnarly school rivals. Nobody ever got stabbed that I'm aware of, but there would be some pretty gnarly school rivals from the town that was close to us. And I think he's telling the truth to his best extent that he can, along with the fact that this is how teenagers respond, because they don't think it's lying.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
But
they don't understand it.
What does the jury, I'm guessing the jury is not as young as we have for most of these witnesses. We've probably got just middle-aged people on the jury.
Yeah.
Maybe a young one or two. But what is the jury left from this? Do they say, I just can't believe these kids?
I have the advantage of being around teenagers all the time. If I were on the jury, I would not be surprised for getting the responses. I would rely on what I can see on the video, the car coming and going, and I haven't heard any of the defense yet.
Yeah.
And have any of the girls, there were some girls, have any of the girls testified?
We had a couple. I think at least one.
Were their responses the same?
They were consistent with the video. Everyone's been very consistent with the video. But outside of that, they don't recall. I mean, one of them even went so far, not the girl, but one of the boys went so far as to say, my memory of this incident is from the vantage point of the video. It's like, that's not your memory. That's your memory of the video.
And it's very probable. I mean, I guess I would have to wait until I heard the defense and see what the defendant says. I'm guessing that people were stabbed. That is a given. Somebody died. That's a given. I don't think the kid's going to get off scot-free. It's just a matter of what part was he culpable for.
Right.
And
I'm surprised did anyone else catch charges in this one? I haven't heard that anyone else even got charged, but you've got people admitting to assault.
And they should have been, in my opinion. They should have been. I mean, let's pretend it's school. They all would have gotten out of school suspension.
Yeah.
Whoever threw a punch that you can see would have been OSS for the most part. And everybody else might have gotten in-school suspension or something. obviously this isn't school and this is real life and death. And I think I would have to wait until the very end.
Yeah. I think we have to. With this being a self-defense case, we know there's going to be
I'll let you know at the end, I guess, what I think.
Good.
But
Amy, I'm proud of you for taking on teenagers on the daily. Thank you.
Okay.
So we don't have to. I appreciate that. That's hard work.
Luckily, I'm a low man on the totem pole, and a lot of times I just get to refer them to someone else. But there have been the times where, people, and I've had to deal with some kids, and I'm just not surprised at their answers at all. At all.
Well, Amy, thanks for the insights. Appreciate it. We'll have to talk again once we get to the end of this one.
All right, we will.
Right.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Lynn Britton. Oops. I was just trying to talk about it and it went away. Here we go. Lynn Britton says, it's my birthday. Happy birthday to you, Lynn. Happy birthday. 19-month and on vacay, listening to one of my favorite law adjustments. Yay for me. And look at this. You've got Ian Runkle up there in your profile picture. That is awesome. Glad you got to meet up with him. I saw that. That is great. Happy birthday. Sorry we didn't get to sing to you. We sang earlier this morning. But how about this? We'll do a party horn for you. Does that work? There you go. Happy birthday. And then Melissa Kyer gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Melissa. That is super generous. Thank you. That is wonderful.
Happy birthday. You look good.
Happy birthday. You do look good. All right, we have about a minute and a half before we come back for court, so I'm going to switch to that now. Let's see, what are you looking at? Oh, yeah, or you already are. Never mind. That's good. Okay, we're there. I have not heard any withdrawals this morning. Did you guys? Have you guys heard any? We've got the withdrawal counter up at 65. I have not heard anybody withdraw. Oh, what's this? Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, Scott.
Hi.
This is Jenny, and I'm calling for the address 317.
Okay.
Have intention to sell for cash offer?
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to selling it, but it's got some major problems.
Okay, no problem. Do you have a number in mind?
About 2.5 million is what I'd like. I know tax shows it's worth about 400,000, but I think it's got like hidden value in it, because I think we've got like some Civil War relics that are buried inside the walls.
Okay, 2 million?
2.5 is where I'd start. I could come down a little bit, but 2.5 would be my starting number.
Okay, it's not listed on the market, right?
No. Here's what we've done. We've got the ghost hunters. They've come in already, and they've verified like Civil War ghosts. Oh, hang on, my phone is making noises at me. Sorry. They verified the ghosts, and they're Civil War ghosts. So that supports the idea that there's the relics in there. We think it's the gold. But we've done that. But as far as like getting a realtor and everything else, we haven't done that yet.
Okay. How many bedrooms and bathrooms?
That's funny you ask. Right now, I would have to say there's 1 bedroom in the house and 1 bathroom in the house and 1 bathroom in the garage. But like at the end of this week, that we're going to have another bathroom, so that would be 2 in the house and 1 in the garage for a total of 3. Bedrooms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in the house, 2 in the garage. We converted the garage into an Airbnb. So.
Okay. So it's 2.5 or 3.5 bathroom?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, and 5 bedrooms?
5 bedrooms in the house, 2 bedrooms in the Airbnb, separate building on the property.
Okay.
And it does come with a renter, so we're selling the renter with the property.
Okay. What about general condition, like the update done, or?
Well, we just had the AC guy come out today, so that's like There's some added value there because now it blows cold air upstairs, which is great. Because it was like 112 degrees yesterday up there. It was just so hot.
Okay. Who lives there? You have tenants or it's a vacant?
Oh, I'm in it right now.
Okay. How soon do you think you can sell your property?
Today? But I don't know what are you doing later on?
Okay. What would be the reason for selling this property?
Oh, 2.5 million. I can think of like 2.5 million reasons why I'd sell.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I gotta go. The judge is calling me back.
Okay, just I want to confirm the address and full name. So
Yeah, it was confirmed already. That's the right one.
okay.
Judges.
Your property address 3128513.
That sounds right.
Okay. Your full name, Scott?
I need to go. The judge is here. Sorry. You called. I'm in remote court. Can you hear the judge? Okay. Got to go.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, 2.5 million? You can buy it today. I'll move to a hotel. It's worth a tenth of that. All right. Okay. Sorry. We're waiting for audio. Okay, all right. The funny thing is that she is just the finder, and there's going to be a realtor that calls, and he calls without checking anything. He's like, "Oh, I got a lead," and he'll make the call, and he'll like start talking. So we've got a follow-up call on this same one. Was it your address? Guys, give him my home address out. Yeah, great, thank you, appreciate that. Where's my audio? We have no audio.
And there were some questions about the group chat that had started. And my question to you is, at what point after the fight at Lazy Brook did you even participate in the group chat?
I really didn't. I think maybe in that car ride back to Natalia's house, I might have said something, but after that, I didn't say anything.
So it wouldn't have been when you got to Tyler Rich's house?
No.
Okay. And when you got to Tyler Rich's house...
Mary, thank you for that.
You said you were just getting notifications in your pocket?
Yeah, I was.
And you would look at it and put it back?
Yeah.
And when you get notifications, can you read what they say if you just pick it up and look at it?
If like my phone is unlocked, yes.
But if it's locked, what does it look like?
It just says like an iMessage notification.
Okay. And you didn't participate in that group messaging once you were at Tyler Rich's house?
No.
Now, with regards to, you were asked a little bit about where you were when you were at Tyler Rich's house after the car goes down Laurel Glen, parks down the street in your farmhouse.
Yeah.
This is just for the record. I'm showing you State Exhibit 49. Can you show us in 49 where you were?
I was over by like where like the shade is coming across the street.
So here on the left side of the road here?
Yeah.
So you were maybe one house up maybe, or just before the second property?
Yeah.
And would you agree with me that Farmhouse Road is somewhere down in this area up here?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm directing my pen somewhere near the intersection of Farmhouse Road and Laurel Glen, at the top of 49.
All right, so noted.
And when you were in that area, you indicated you couldn't hear what was being said?
No.
And could you see people down the road?
Yes.
And you indicated that you knew Tyler Rich went down the road?
Yes.
Did you know anybody else from your friends that went down the road?
No.
But it was more than one person?
Yes.
And when Tyler Rich went down the road, how long would you say you watched what was going on down the road?
Maximum a minute.
Okay. And at some point in time, did you turn around and walk back to the house?
Yeah.
So in that minute, when you were watching what was happening down the road, You saw people talking?
Yeah.
Did you see any fighting going on down the road?
No.
Now, when you got back to the house, got back to Tyler Rich's house, you said you were in the basement area, but that included, in your mind, the stairway?
Yeah, I was right next to the stairs.
So were you at the top of the stairs or were you at the bottom?
I'm at the bottom of the stairs, but like right at the bottom of the stairs.
And when you're at the bottom of the stairs, are there other people in the basement?
Yeah.
And what's happening in the basement?
Just people hanging out there.
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
And do you recall every single person that was in the basement at that given time?
No.
Why don't you recall who was in the basement?
I just knew they were my friends.
Some of your friends included the names that we mentioned during your testimony today and yesterday?
Yeah.
At some point in time, you heard they're back.
Yeah.
And you go back outside. You're one of the first people outside?
Yes.
And when you're outside, you walk up to the defendant?
Yes.
And at some point in time, you have a conversation with the defendant, you pull the shirt off?
Yes.
How long would you say that interaction happened before you noticed Tyler Rich punch the defendant in the face?
A minute.
Okay. And when before the punch, did you anticipate that there was going to be a fight, a physical fight?
No.
When the punch happens,
I don't believe
is that when the fight starts?
Yes.
And when the fight starts, my question to you is, how soon after when that punch is thrown from Tyler Rich, when you're on top of the defendant, do you feel pain in your side?
No more than 30 seconds.
No more than 30 seconds?
No more.
So after
Could
I
it have been
punched
more,
him
could have been
twice.
less?
Less.
So you punch him twice and then you feel pain?
Yeah.
That's a FAFO situation.
And soon after you punch him, you see this. What motion do you see?
It's like his fists balled up like this and just going like that repeatedly.
Before you engaged with the defendant, before he got punched, did you see if he had anything in his hands at that point in time?
No. Travis was in his own home, though, right? That's a very different case on self-defense. Because Travis was in a place where he was allowed to be. I guess this guy was also allowed to be, well, the witness was allowed to be there, but the defendant, not so sure.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Any more cross?
Any cross?
Briefly on.
Okay.
Said before Tyler Rich threw that punch, you never anticipated a fight, right?
No.
And you told us that how soon after was it when this fight broke out that you started to feel the pain, and you said that that was 30 seconds, right?
Yes.
And then the state's attorney asked you, could have been more, right?
He did say that.
And you said, no, less, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you would agree that it's always less. It could never have been a longer period of time when you've been asked on a series of questions about how long something lasted, right?
I'm going to object because it's argumentative.
I'm going to sustain the objection on that.
It's always less.
It mischaracterizes and it's argument. Thank you.
Couldn't have been any longer than 30 seconds.
No.
And you told us yesterday that you didn't participate in any of that group chat, but now you've said maybe in that car ride is when you admit you sent at least one text, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't participate in that at all at Tyler Rich's house, right?
No.
You told us you didn't see anything in Mr. Valle's hands, correct? When he was standing there facing you?
I was not looking at his hands.
You reached out and you pulled the shirt off of him, you claimed, correct?
Yes.
He didn't punch you at that point?
No, he just got like super upset.
He didn't shove you at that point?
No.
He didn't touch you in any way?
No.
He didn't show you a knife?
No.
He didn't say, hey, I've got a knife, I'm going to cut you?
No.
With this guy?
And so from the time that Tyler Rich punched Mr. Valle in the face until the time that you felt the pain and got off of Mr. Valle, that was at least 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
30 seconds, you're standing over him, punching him in the face only 2 times.
Yes.
Nobody else has joined in with you.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Nothing further.
So let me get this
Nothing
straight.
further, Your Honor.
2 punches, 2 beers.
Mr. Hines, you're dismissed.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please watch your step as you exit the witness stand. Thank you.
Take calls Dr. Ryan's office.
All right, very good. Thank you.
We're going to call the medic for this guy. We've been having the medic for each witness after them. Is that how to look at the file she's carrying? This might be a lengthy one.
Good morning. Still morning.
Barely.
Thank you so much.
Got
If
2
you
minutes
please take a
of
step into the stand and remain standing. My clerk to my right here is going to put you under oath, okay? Thank you so much.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Please state your full name, spelling your last name, and address for the record.
Ryan S. Doss, DOSS, and
My address? Yes. My address is 123 Sesame Street.
You may be seated. Thank you. You may proceed.
Good. Almost afternoon, Dr. Doss. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. And Dr. Doss, it's a little bit difficult for everyone to hear in this courtroom. The acoustics are rough, so if you just keep your voice up as much as possible and sit as close to the microphone as you can. Okay, Dr. Doss, where are you currently employed?
St. Vincent's Medical Center in Bridgeport.
And how long have you been employed at St. Vincent's?
I think 8 years.
And is there a particular branch of medicine in which you specialize in?
Emergency medicine.
And is there a particular department that you work in at St. Vincent's Medical Center?
Just the emergency department.
And please tell members of the jury your educational background, including any degrees you hold.
I have a medical degree, of course, and a history and philosophy of science degree from undergraduate school.
And where did you attend school?
University of Washington in Seattle, and then Ross University for medical school.
And your residency was done?
Detroit Receiving Hospital.
And your work experience, please tell the members of the jury where you've worked.
First Detroit Receiving Hospital, and then I worked in a small hospital in Georgia, and then a hospital in New Zealand for about a year. And after that, returned to this country, and I've been at St. Vincent's ever since.
And what are your duties working at St. Vincent's?
Whichever one this is.
I'm one of the attendings in the emergency department, so it's seeing patients that are presenting there and managing the physician's assistants who also work in the emergency department.
How many attendings are in the ER at St. Vincent's, approximately?
At a given time, there would be 3 or 4. In total, I think it's going to be maybe 12 employed there, probably more, but I'm not good at keeping track of that.
So any given time on a night that you're working, there's about 3 or 4 of you attending?
Yes.
And have you ever testified in court before today?
No.
Do you have any teaching responsibilities?
Yes, we teach the internal medicine residents that rotate through the emergency department, so they get work experience there, and medical students from Quinnipiac that come there too.
You had also mentioned physician's assistants.
Mm-hmm.
Do you supervise them or oversee them?
Yes.
And please explain in that capacity.
So they are employed there as fairly independent providers. They see patients on their own, but also work directly with the attendings and what we call staff patients with the attendings, meaning if they describe to the attending what's going on and make sure the plan is appropriate, and do some of the procedures to take some of the workload off of the attendings, like laceration repairs and things.
What would determine whether or not you do a procedure or a physician's assistant does a procedure?
A variety of things. Generally, how critical is the situation, how potentially dangerous is the procedure, and for things that are immediately life-threatening, intubations, meaning, taking over someone's breathing and such, is generally something the attending would do.
In back of May of 2022, did you work at the emergency room department at St. Vincent's Medical Center?
Yes.
And on any given day or night, how many patients did you see?
Typically about 16 to 20 per shift.
And that was you personally?
Yes.
Direct your attention specifically to Sunday, May 15th of 2022. Do you recall working in the ER at St. Vincent's Medical Center?
Yes.
And did there come a time when you examined a patient by the name of Ryan Hines?
Yes.
And did you have an opportunity to review Ryan Hines' medical records before coming to the court today?
Yes.
May I approach counsel, Your Honor?
Ryan Hines has a stack of medical records. Was Ryan our last witness?
That's fine. Thank you.
Copy for you.
Thank you. Dr. Dahl, showing you what's marked as states 93 for ID purposes. Please look at these documents. Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
And what do you recognize that document as?
The medical record for Ryan Hines.
And is it in the regular course of St. Vincent's Medical Center to prepare such a document such as the one you see present here?
Yes.
And is it the regular course of business for nurses and doctors to maintain such records at St. Vincent's Medical Center?
Yes.
And is it procedure for doctors and nurses to record such things on such a document accurately at or around the time that a patient is seen?
Yes.
And is this documentation certified?
Yes.
I would ask that it be marked as a full exhibit.
Attorney Smith, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, Coral, go ahead and accept into evidence as full states 93.
Wonder if this guy's going to say, I do not recall, I do not recall, I do not recall.
Dr. Doss, handing you back now with a full exhibit, state 93. You will references if you need to.
Thank you.
Now, Dr. Doss, to your recollection, or if you can look at state 93, what time was Ryan Hines brought into St. Vincent's Medical Center on that day or morning?
Let me just double check the time. Was this, 12:24 a.m.?
And where was he brought upon his arrival?
Directly to the emergency department in one of what we call the trauma rooms, which are a larger room in the front for with more space and more equipment for major injuries.
How many trauma rooms at St. Vincent's Hospital Center?
2.
And can you explain to members of the jury what indicates whether or not someone comes in as a trauma level, or what makes someone come in as a trauma level?
Right. There are some standard criteria that we go by that are primarily based on the mechanism of the injury, the type of injury the patient has, or how much force was involved, and also the condition of the patient. So if they are unstable or confused, and in this case, it was the penetrating wound to the chest that made him a trauma.
So the mere fact that Ryan Hines came in with a penetrating wound to the chest indicates that he was labeled as a trauma level?
Yes.
And how is trauma level different than triage level?
A triage level is a general concept of how potentially sick someone might be that goes all the way from triage level 1, which is the most potentially deadly situation, and a triage level 5, which is something that is not concerning at all. And that is something that is determined by a nurse out front in triage based on vital signs and chief complaint, and helps organize who should be brought into the emergency department first and be seen before someone else who has likely a less serious condition. And so it's related, but the trauma criteria are specifically for injuries, and when someone is brought in as a particular trauma level 1 or 2, that automatically triggers the arrival of the trauma surgeons and different staff members to help stabilize the situation.
Now, to your knowledge, how was Ryan Hines brought to the hospital?
By ambulance.
And explain to the members of the jury, do you get indication from EMS when a patient's being brought in? Is there an alert system that's put into effect?
Yes, they don't necessarily call ahead about every patient, but for potentially serious conditions, they will call ahead on the radio. We get a heads up that they're arriving. They give us a brief description of the situation so that we can prepare.
And can you please explain to members of the jury how the patient, Mr. Hines, presented upon his arrival?
He presented, brought in by ambulance. He was awake and alert, but uncomfortable, and they had called ahead saying that he had a penetrating wound to the left chest and left leg.
So you knew at that point how many wounds there were?
We knew of at least 2, I think 3 wounds. I think it was the chest and flank and leg. Yes, we knew of him.
And do you recall where you specifically observed those wounds?
I observed them in the trauma room upon the patient's arrival.
And prior to that morning, had you had occasion to tend to patients who had suffered from stab wounds?
Yes.
And based on your training experience, were Ryan Hines' injuries consistent with stab wounds?
Yes.
Did you observe did you base your conclusions on self-reporting, or did you base that on your own personal observations, or both?
My own personal observations.
Did Mr. Hines indicate to you, or do you recall if he indicated that he had been stabbed prior to?
We had been informed ahead of time by EMS that he had. I don't actually recall if I directly asked him that question.
But you had knowledge that he was?
Yes.
Were you aware of the apparatus or what was used to stab him?
I did not know the details of the implement. We were told it was a knife, but I didn't know anything about the size or length of the knife.
Prior to you seeing a patient, is it typical for the nurses to have contact or make contact with the patient?
Depending on the situation. In this case, everyone kind of met the patient at the same time, but oftentimes the nurses do initially evaluate the patient before the doctors do.
And why in this situation was it everyone hands on deck when the patient came immediately versus the patient going with the nurses, getting assessed? Explain why that was done in this case.
Because for this type of injury, our concern is that it may be immediately life-threatening and we need to intervene right away.
I'm going to direct your attention to States 93, page 5 of States 93. The last line of that page, if you can just please indicate to members of the jury what it says.
Let's see, is it this, the CT report on page 5 here? Or is this the CT of the abdomen pelvis with IV contrast?
Yes, so it indicates CT of the abdomen, pelvis with, okay. If you could read the last line of that.
Clinical data, trauma 1, stabbed chest and flank pain.
What is flank pain?
The flank is the side of your body below your ribs, essentially, the side of your abdomen.
And directing your attention still to that same exhibit, page 7, towards the bottom of that exhibit, what does it say under CT head without contrast final results?
It says, number 1, no acute post-traumatic intracranial abnormality. And number 2, undisplaced fractures of both nasal bones.
Number 2, undisplaced fractures of both nasal bones. What is that in layman's terms?
It means he had a broken nose.
Broken nose? And had you read about this information or known about this information prior to Ryan Hines' arrival at the hospital?
No.
Directing your attention to page 12 of States 93, towards the mid to bottom portion of that page where your notes begin. Is that your electronic signature that appears there?
Yes.
And indicated there, it also indicates that it was signed, and it also indicates filed. Is that the time that you had seen him? Where's this 205, or is that just?
That's when the document was filed in the system. The date of service is when he was seen.
Looking at States 93, page 12, what does the acronym HPI refer to?
History of present illness.
And if you can please refer, John, in reference to HPI, what does it indicate you did?
Let's see. And I'm sorry, could you said.
Sure. Directing your attention onto page 13 of States 93. It indicates the continuation of the history of present illness.
Right.
You can please indicate what the chief complaint was, and then what was presented.
Right. So the chief complaint here is stab wound to the left chest, left flank, and left thigh. And in the remaining history, I'm describing any medical conditions the patient has. A 16-year-old male with no chronic medical conditions, describing the situation that led to their arrival in the emergency department. Would you like me to read it? Or?
Yes.
Okay. This 16-year-old male with no chronic medical conditions who presents to the emergency department after being involved in an altercation, which resulted in a stab wound to the left lateral chest wall, left flank, and left thigh. He also suffered an abrasion to the superior scalp and head injury, likely from being kicked. The patient was at an event this evening, did ingest some alcohol but no illicit substances, got into an altercation with someone who left and returned with a knife, resulting in this further altercation. The patient is complaining of pain at the site of the stab wounds and some worsening difficulty breathing pre-hospital. He has been oxygenating well on room air, meaning he was getting enough oxygen. He has had no evidence of tension pneumothorax per EMS. However, they do note decreased or absent breath sounds on the left. The patient has been hemodynamically stable pre-hospital.
Are these all of your notes that you took?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are good
And
notes.
taking you back through that paragraph, chief complaint stab wound to the left chest, left flank, left thigh. If you can just demonstrate on your body where those areas would be.
So
members of the jury?
The left chest here, where the ribs are, and the left flank below the area of the ribs, and the left thigh here in the upper leg.
The record reflect, Your Honor, that the witness is identifying stab wounds by pointing to his own body on his left chest, his left flank area, and as well as his left thigh.
Court will identify that the witness has identified by using physical motions on the stand as so stated.
Dr. Doss, stab wound to the left lateral chest wall, is that the same thing as the left chest?
Yes.
Okay. And when you say chest wall, what does that mean?
We're just referring to the external surface of the chest here, and the left lateral, the lateral aspect is kind of the side. You just have to have a fancy term for everything. So that's just referring to the stab wound in the chest wall on the left side of his body.
Abrasion to the superior scalp and head injury likely from being kicked. How did you determine that?
This was to tell you the truth, I can't recall how we determined that. This is generally from information we're obtaining from EMS and the patient, but I don't recall exactly who told me about the kick to the head.
So an abrasion, what is that?
A scratch.
Is it something that's deeper than a paper cut, for instance?
No, it's probably about the same depth. Generally, when we're talking about abrasions, thinking more, not such a simple little linear scratch, but kind of when a larger area of the skin is damaged and abraded, we call it, just scraped.
Could it produce bleeding?
Yes.
Okay. And so you're saying likely being kicked, that could have been self-reporting or like you said from EMS?
Yes.
Where it indicates pain at the site of the stab wounds, is that something that Ryan Hines would have indicated that you would have asked him his pain level, for instance?
Yes.
And worsening difficulty breathing pre-hospital. Explain that.
So this is a combination of information from the patient and EMS, basically describing that he was feeling that he was getting more short of breath. He was having more difficulty breathing as time passed in the time period it took to get to the hospital.
Would that be typical of a wound to the chest wall?
It can be. It depends on really how bad the wound is and what the situation is.
Could you have a wound at the chest wall that would not penetrate a lung?
Oh, absolutely. Obviously the ribs are protecting the area, and the whatever object does not penetrate through past the ribs into the lung, which can happen.
Being that the patient was complaining or indicating that he wasn't breathing very well, did that indicate to you that there was a possibility that his lung had been punctured?
Yes.
Back to States 93, page 13, that same paragraph. No evidence of tension.
Pneumothorax.
Pneumothorax, thank you, for EMS. What is that terminology, pneumothorax?
So pneumothorax is just the fancy term for air in the chest wall outside of the lung and causing the lung to collapse. Tension pneumothorax is a specific type of that, which because of, not to get too far into the weeds, a one-way valve of a kind of, the pressure continues to increase inside the chest. The air can enter but not exit through that wound, and the lung is pushed further and further, and then ultimately, other structures in the neck and chest are pushed to the point where the heart cannot beat properly and people can die very quickly.
They do note decreased or absent breath sounds on the left. This patient has been hemodynamically stable pre-hospital. What is that?
That means that hemodynamically stable is just referring to things like his blood pressure and his heart rate. We're watching those to make sure that there isn't any sign of that kind of compromise to the function of the heart or the circulatory system, which we would see if his blood pressure were dropping and likely his heart rate is increasing to try to compensate. That was not, those kind of dynamic changes were not happening on the way to the hospital.
Directing your attention to that same exhibit, States 93, about mid-page on page 14, where it says pulmonary, chest, abdominal, and musculoskeletal. Under pulmonary, where it indicates absent breath sounds, diminished breath sounds, right upper lung fields. Was that, when you saw that, was that concerning to you at all, and why?
Yes, specifically the absent breath sounds on the left would be concerning in this context because that would make us worried that he had suffered an injury to his lung and that had collapsed and was not functioning properly. The diminished breath sounds in the right upper lung field are relatively non-specific, just meaning that we're not hearing quite as well in this area, so we need to make sure that that's okay as well.
And you had indicated earlier that a certain condition can occur if left unattended. Can you explain what that condition is and why that would be something that would be life-threatening?
The tension pneumothorax?
Yes.
Specifically, yes. So that would be kind of this steadily increasing pressure within the chest cavity that is starting to push everything over to the opposite side and lead to a situation where the return of blood to the heart is impaired, and now the heart's not able to continue circulating blood, and this would result in death.
Okay, that's obviously a very serious situation.
Yes.
And if Ryan Hines had been left unattended, not brought to the hospital to tend to that, is that something that could have caused death?
Yes.
Directing your attention to page 14 as well on SACE 93, where it says stab wound under abdominal, stab wound left lateral flank, musculoskeletal stab wound left lateral thigh, left lateral flank and left lateral thigh. Anything about those wounds that were concerning to you regarding any arteries that were around that area or anything of the sort?
Right. I think we always get concerned with an abdominal or flank wound because, of course, there are many important organs in there that if they're directly injured, you can have quite a lot of internal bleeding quickly, like the spleen, the kidney on that side. And with the wound in the thigh, we have to, consider, of course, injury to a major blood vessel and bleeding from that. The location on the thigh was a little less concerning for that kind of problem.
Directing your attention to the bottom of page 14 on SACE 93, where it says MDM, clinical impression notes. What does MDM, that acronym, refer to?
Which is medical decision making. It's a section to describe what we were thinking and what we did.
And where it indicates in that paragraph, it says portable chest x-ray confirms left side pneumothorax, no evidence of hemothorax. What does that sentence refer to?
So that it says that when we took an x-ray of his chest, this is in the trauma room still, he's in the stretcher, we're taking a film right there, we can see that that left lung has collapsed. We do not see evidence of fluid filling the chest cavity, which in this context, we'd be worried about blood filling up his chest. That was not the case.
On an x-ray, what would you see to indicate that the lung had collapsed, for instance?
You can see for an inflated lung, the lung markings there and the absence of them. And often you can, in the case of a pneumothorax, often you can see kind of the border of the lung as well. So you can see how much it has collapsed.
Could you see in an x-ray any kind of penetrating wound, like a laceration or anything that would have caused that lung to collapse?
You can see secondary findings of it. It's not a study that's going to show the soft tissues like that, but you can see things like swelling in the air. You can see some air tract entering the chest wall, that type of thing. So you see secondary findings of a stab wound.
It indicates also on page 14 of 93, a chest tube is in place for the trauma service and further trauma workup is pending. What was the purpose of that chest tube?
That is a device that's placed into the chest to suction essentially the air out of the chest cavity, allow that lung to reinflate. And if there were blood in the chest cavity, it would also be draining that fluid out of there.
Directing your attention to page 15 of SACE 93, at the top of that page, patient will be admitted in the trauma service for further care. What was the purpose of that?
The initial period of time after placing that chest tube, although, of course, a good thing that the lung is reinflating, that needs time to heal somewhat before the chest tube is removed, which would typically take place in the hospital before the patient is sent home. So they need time to make sure the lung is inflating again and staying that way, and remove the chest tube and ensure the lung doesn't collapse again once it's removed.
Page 15 of SACE 93 under critical care indicates the patient was critically ill with a high probability of imminent or life-threatening deterioration. That notation, does that reference what you described before regarding the, I'm going to say the word wrong, but the tension that you were describing, which could have caused death?
Well, not only that, but even without the tension pneumothorax component, this can be a deadly injury. And so this is a situation where until the patient was stabilized, the likelihood of him dying was relatively high.
Now, I'm going to be showing you some photographs that have already been marked into evidence. Showing you what's been marked as SACE 84. The screen in front of you, you can just reference that, or you can look up here. Do you see that on your screen?
Yes.
Okay. What would you describe that as?
This is the abrasion to the scalp, as mentioned.
And showing you SACE 83.
All right.
Specifically towards the hairline there.
Right.
Same abrasion that you're describing.
Yes, it is.
And showing you what's been marked as stage 85. Are you able to identify what this is and describe to the jury what the purpose of that would be?
This is that chest tube that was mentioned. There are different types of these and different sizes. This is a device that's placed in the front of the chest and a relatively smaller size, which is mainly meant to pull air out of the chest rather than fluid.
And does that go directly into the wound?
No, it goes elsewhere in the chest wall in between the ribs in a way that is designed to be at a certain angle so that when the tube is removed, that space closes on its own.
Showing you stage 86. And if this is the wrong orientation, I can certainly flip it. So are you able to see, is this the right rotation? Do you need me to?
I think so. It's just the angle's a bit up. I think this is the left side. Yes, this is the left side of the patient's chest. So in this photograph, the way we have it oriented, his head would be up at the top off the side of the screen.
Okay. And this tube that you see pictured on stage, 86, is that connected to that port you just indicated?
Yes, that's the chest tube.
Okay. And this gauze here with the tape, what is that over?
I think that is over the stab wound itself.
Showing you stage 87. Flip that.
Cameron's being careful here.
What is this a photograph
One of these pictures is a selfie.
That is the photograph
mirror.
of the stab wound to the chest wall.
That's the one, that's the wound that punctured the lung.
Yes.
And showing you stage 89. What is that a photograph of, Dr. Doss?
And that's the stab wound to the left flank.
Left flank.
Mm-hmm.
And showing you stage 91.
This is a selfie he took in front of the mirror, buck naked.
That's the stab wound to the left thigh.
Okay, and that's obviously a different stab wound than the left flank stab wound you just indicated.
Yes.
And finally, stage 92. Do you agree with me that these are photographs of all the puncture wounds that Ryan Hines suffered?
Yes.
Okay. And the one at the top of stage 92, this would be the left flank.
Oh, no, that's the left lateral chest. And the left flank is the one below that.
Thank you for correcting me.
No problem.
Left flank is the one below, mid-exhibit. And then the last stab wound is to the, what did you refer to that as?
The thigh.
Thigh. Thank you. Directing your attention back to stage 93, page 20, where it says underneath H and P encounter notes. What does that mean, H and P encounter notes?
So this is the history and physical that's written by the trauma service. And encounter notes is just a general term for notes we took regarding this encounter with the patient.
And that was a physician's assistant that took those notes that you can see?
Yes, it looks like it was Matei Manea.
Where it indicates 16M, is that 16-year-old male?
Yes.
Okay, stabbed in left chest, mid-ax line with about a 4/5 intercostal, left flank, left lateral hip. What does that mean?
So he's describing the location of these stab wounds. That left chest mid-ax line is an abbreviation for mid-axillary line, and the axilla is the armpit, so the middle of the armpit, basically a line drawn from the armpit down, and then the other two stab wounds.
Hemodynamically stable with mild tachycardia, left pneumothorax without significant hemo. What does that mean?
He's abbreviating hemothorax there. So he's saying there is the collapse of the lung on the left without blood collected in the chest wall. And the hemodynamically stable means his blood pressure has been steady, but his heart rate is fast, probably compensating for the injuries.
This will be done
quick. It's safe to say that the physician's assistant also tended to the wounds of Mr. Hines. So where it says place a 14 French pigtail cath anterior second intercostal space, what does that mean?
So that's this this chest tube. When they say pigtail catheter, it's a kind of catheter that is built to twist in there so it's not directly puncturing anything else. And this is describing where that was placed. It was the anterior, the front of the chest, and the second intercostal space, and they're just counting down the second rib and that space in below the rib.
Is that what we saw in the photographs that were just depicted?
Yes.
And adequate re-expansion of the lung, mild air leak. Is that something that repairs on its own?
Yes, they monitor that. When this chest tube is hooked up, it's connected to a kind of suction device, and they're monitoring that pressure over time, and that air leak typically would get better as the wound heals.
It also indicates washed out stab wounds small enough that will heal by secondary intention to avoid closing and having infection. What does that mean?
That means that the two wounds, the one on the flank and the thigh, well, actually including the stab wound in the chest, they washed these out, but they did not want to suture them closed because they would worry that would increase the risk of an infection in the wound to kind of close everything up inside of there. So they let it heal by secondary intention, which is just the term for letting that kind of close on its own and heal from the inside out instead of closing the skin.
Is that pretty standard with wounds such as this, to not suture them?
Yes.
Directing your attention to page 22 of Stage 93, where it indicates secondary, withdrawn primary assessment and secondary assessment. What is the difference between the two of those?
These are specific to the trauma process. When patients come in after injuries like this, the primary assessment is what is immediately life-threatening happening right now. Is the patient breathing? You know, are they circulating blood well? Are they able to talk to us and they're what we call protecting their airway? They can keep their airway open. And then the secondary assessment is a head-to-toe kind of protocolized examination to make sure there are no other injuries that are missed.
Under page, withdrawn, on page 22 of that exhibit, under primary assessment where it indicates breathing, minimally labor with some associated
dyspnea.
Thank you. What does that mean?
That means that his breathing was a little bit fast, a little bit difficult. He appeared to be having a little bit of a hard time breathing. That's what they say by minimally labored. And dyspnea is the subjective sensation of shortness of breath. When someone feels short of breath, that's called dyspnea.
How long does that typically last with an injury such as this?
After the chest tube is placed, that can resolve pretty quickly, but without that, it would last for a while. If the patient survives, it would be a process of healing that would take some time, days probably.
Do you know how long Mr. Hine was kept in the hospital for?
2 nights, and then actually, I wasn't sure if it was 1 night or 2 nights. I think it's 2 nights though, ultimately.
And what was the purpose of keeping him for so long?
That is to monitor the effectiveness of the chest tube and make sure that air leak resolves, that once that wound starts kind of closing on its own and there's no longer the passage to allow air out of the chest or into the chest cavity, then they can safely remove the chest tube. So it's really that period of time to monitor and make sure things are not getting worse and that they're getting better.
Under where it says secondary assessment on page 22 of Stage 93, it does indicate nose and it says no injury.
Mm-hmm.
That was a little surprising to me, as you had indicated that he did suffer some broken nose. Why does it say no injury there?
I think this is fairly common in a situation like this where that was not their primary focus, and so that can be missed. It may have been the case. I mean, I think looking back at the photographs, his nose was not visibly injured that badly, so it wasn't something that was focused on. And it may not have been particularly tender when they felt the area, so they didn't appreciate looking at the nose that it looked injured. And then we saw in the CAT scan that he did have a broken nose.
Indeed was. States 93 on page 64 of that exhibit. Do you see any indication on this page of the patient if the patient's blood was tested for alcohol?
Yes, let's see. Yes, I do see that.
Okay. And what does it indicate?
That the result of that test was a value of 7 milligrams per deciliter.
What does that mean in BAC terms, in blood alcohol?
Right.
If you can convert that.
So for the state of Connecticut, I think the legal limit of driving is if you blow a 0.08 on the breathalyzer, that would be an 80 on this measurement. So 80. So this is like a 0.007 or something.
0.007.
Right, yes.
Now, based on your expertise with the fact that Ryan Hines had a 0.007 BAC level, will that have affected his injuries, the way he was treated in any way?
No, I mean, it would really just indicate that he had something to drink earlier in the night, but this was not a level of alcohol that would have caused his injuries to be more complicated or caused him to really be intoxicated. Clinically, we say, like that, visibly intoxicated, that kind of thing.
Thank you, Dr. Goss. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Smith, come on up.
Good afternoon, Dr. Dawson.
Hi, good afternoon.
We've never met before. Correct.
Yes, correct.
So I'm just going to ask you a brief series of questions. You said as far as the nose, no injury. That could have been because it didn't appear to be visibly injured. Correct?
Yes, correct.
Sorry, the head nods aren't caught by the court reporter. Have you ever testified before in court?
No.
Oh, okay. So the court reporter here has got to hear a yes or a no. So if you just do that for us.
Got it. Yes.
And you said the patient himself wasn't complaining of pain to the nose.
Not that I recall.
And then you said, and so then there was a CAT scan that was done, and that reflected that there was a, correct me if I'm wrong, non-displaced fracture, correct?
Correct.
Did that give you any indication of the age of that non-displaced fracture?
We can generally tell on imaging if the fracture is what we call acute, meaning this just happened or not, because healing starts pretty quickly. So this was an acute injury that just occurred.
Gotcha. And the description in the notes that you were looking at said that superior scalp and head injury likely from being kicked, correct?
Correct.
That's based on self-report?
I suppose, I'm afraid I don't recall where that information came from, so I cannot speak to whether it was accurate or not. I think it was secondhand information. Of course, for me, it would have been secondhand information, but I don't know who told us that.
Okay. And that the patient did admit to some alcohol use, correct?
Yes.
And that was confirmed by the results of the toxicology, correct?
Yes.
And that he also denied any illicit substances, correct?
Correct.
But that, however, was not confirmed by the toxicology because that did reflect on page 11 positive for cannabinoid, correct?
Let me take a look.
Page 11.
Let's see. Yes. That's the result is positive. It doesn't necessarily speak to when the cannabis was used.
Okay. All right. And so you've told us today what you did as far as treating him for his wounds, correct?
Yes.
But you couldn't tell us or help this jury if what they wanted to know was why what had happened to him that evening, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Nothing further.
There you go.
Any redirect? Nothing further. All right, thank you. You're dismissed.
Early
from
lunch? What do you think?
Stand. Thank you.
Let's bring
Please
another witness.
Watch your step as you exit.
Got half
And
an hour.
did you have medical? Did you have an exhibit up there?
I do.
I'll take it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You're welcome.
May we approach your Honor?
Certainly.
The rare sidebar. So we actually only had 2 beers. Is that what we're hearing? He had 0.07? What did the doctor say is 0.007?
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to take an early lunch, so you're going to have an extended lunch break today. It is 25 of 1. We will commence evidence again at 2 p.m. So have a good lunch. Please remind yourselves of your juror conduct and the obligations and rules that we've gone over. Avoid anyone, don't talk to anyone, and don't do any independent research. And I do just want to remind you that you cannot discuss the case amongst yourselves either at this point, okay? Thank you so much. Enjoy your lunch. Court stands in recess until 2 p.m.
And as they go to lunch, we get an hour and a half. I have to give you an update. The AC guy is on his way back. He'll be here at 4 o'clock tonight because the AC stopped working again. It worked for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. It's killing me. It's killing me. How much does it cost just to get a whole brand? It's like $6,000, right? For a whole brand new one. I can't do that. Did he check the drain thing? He said he fixed the drain thing. But now I think we need to like blow out the entire... The drain goes from way up there in the attic, across the attic, down through a walkway, like drill down through a ceiling, through a little walkway into a little back hidden cubby room, down through the floor, down through the wall next to my office, down into the basement, across the basement ceiling, out through the side of our entryway and drains into the grass over there. It's about a mile of PVC pipe. I'm sure it's the problem. 10K. 10K! We got quoted $8K for both units inside and out. I think the outside one's good. More like 15. I'm going to need to sell my house for 2.75 now. Just got a new unit 1 hour ago. Hey, well, 2,800. Let's see. Let's see. Next Witness channel has clipped your reactions to Shannon with law YouTubers. Reactions to Shannon. Are you talking about the sorry lawyer? That's awesome. That's cool. Oh, man, Shannon with one N. Oh, okay. Awesome. I'll have to send me a link to the burner phone. I'll have to watch it. All right. Send a picture to the burner for your AC. Thank you. You need a pump that keeps it draining. We had to do that for one of ours because it goes all the way across our attic. A pump? AC drain pump? Is that what you're saying? Is that a thing? It's going to be like $10, right? Little Giant VCMA automatic condensation pump. HVAC drain pump on Amazon. That's where we're going to go. $89, $63. If this is the fix, we're doing it. We're doing it. Ours froze up in our furnace. Can't replace just one part. That's what they tell you, but I think they're lying. They're lying. I've got a train out there. You know, nothing can stop a train. I've got one of those. It's a nice unit and hasn't even been on for years. So maybe you just need the ducts cleaned out. We did that once, so it was neat. Fairly new. All right. Prepares for an easy fix. We have an hour and a half. Let me tell you what I can do in an hour and a half. You ready for this? Oops. Let's try this one. That's not it.
Hot mic for today? Yeah. No, I thought there was 2 more, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
We have a hot mic.
Get an extra 20 minutes. No, that extra. Hell yeah, bro. Come on, you deserve it.
Yeah.
Listen to this, Mom. And then tomorrow it's only 2 hours or something like that? Yeah, 10 to 12. Look at that smile. We'll be at Boston earlier.
Soundbite? Apparently somebody's happy about a long lunch. All right. Everyone's still working. We're going to take a long lunch. I was going to tell you what I could do during a long lunch. You ready for this? I can paint my bathroom. Give me an hour and a half. I can paint my bathroom. I can get it done. I can do it. And then we're ready to put the floor in and then the toilet. And then we've got another bathroom and I can sell it for $2.75 million. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to paint my bathroom at lunch. All right. We're going to do it. I'm committed. The command should be lunch. Let's get that command. Let's do that one. I'm okay with that one. We're going with sea salt. Sea salt. It looks blue and green and sometimes white. Depends on how you look at it. Painted my bathroom yesterday. I sealed and primed it. Now it's ready for painting. Lynn says, our account went out in the camper. Oh no. Sunday. Happy birthday to me. On Friday we get a new AC installed. Oh my goodness. AC went out in the camper. That's terrible. Lynn, good luck surviving until Friday. I feel your pain. Defense Rest Raid. Defense Rest, welcome. I've got the music going. We're going to lunch. What brand of paint? We're using HGTV from Lowe's. But you won't want to paint once the heat hits you. It's downstairs. It's cold down here. It's the best air conditioned room in the house. All right, guys, we're going to go to lunch really quickly. Welcome. We are going to portal over to the afternoon show. I've already got it set up where Barbara has already won. I'm going to pin that message right now. Congratulations, Barbara. Let's see. We're going to portal over to the afternoon. We're going to continue and follow this in the afternoon. I think we're getting close to the end of the state's case. So tonight when you go home, please hug people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better. Please stay safe to go live again in just mere minutes. We will see you in just a bit. All right. Have a good one. Have a great lunch. I'm going to go paint the bathroom. Bye.